3, 2, 1.
Never do that again.
Wow. Will just 3, 2, 1 us in, and it was pretty uncomfortable because he went like deeper than normal.
Yeah.
Like 3, 2. It was
The only time he's ever sounded
I
commanding.
think yeesh is the word. I believe the kids call it cringe. So
like,
cringe.
So cringy.
Like don't
ever do that again. Okay.
Tell me about your week that you can remember of it.
You know what's really funny is that I had it. I was like, yes.
I know what I'm going to tell Neal.
I know exactly what I'm
And
saying.
now you're choking.
I'm bombing. I did. I don't know why I bombed. I just blinked.
You can write it down. You should write it down.
Yeah. You go.
Okay. Not a lot. Did a couple podcasts, which somehow, if I have anything to do, it occupies so much space in my head.
What do you mean?
Meaning, like, if I have to do Tara's podcast at 6, I'm like thinking about it every.
You can't
10,
relax.
Like, yeah, I gotta. When the podcast comes, so I did 2 podcasts. And then I just had a bunch of Zooms about Chase Bank.
Heard of it.
And many Zooms, many Zooms, and many exciting Zooms, and casting, and approving drugstore art, and cabins. I'm approving cabins. Is this car okay? Yeah.
Do you
Kevin Hart wardrobe? Yep. 3 choices. Okay, the middle. That's one of the things about commercials. I do not care. There are commercial directors who are like super. I call them doorknob directors because they're like, that doorknob's not right. And they get, because it's the only thing they do.
Right.
So they make it like their masterpiece. Don't worry about the next thought, like which commercial has been a masterpiece. You're thinking too much. So I don't care. I just care about, like, what are they saying?
Right.
What are they going to say? Where are they going to do it? All right, I'm good. But I don't care about, like, buttons, and I just don't care.
Does it feel like at some point, do you just want to say, I don't care, whatever you want?
The problem is I can't really say that. I'll talk about it euphemistically. Like, guys, this is not one of my areas of passion. So whatever you guys want, unless it's egregious, I'm not against it.
Right.
And also, Kevin's going to just wear what he wants to wear.
It's so funny.
It's like
the protocols and the rules when in like Hollywood production seem so important until someone doesn't care.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't care. I'm the director. I don't care. Kevin doesn't know that anyone's having this conversation. He's just going to show up and go like, what am I wearing? All right.
I did a commercial once and they put my hair, the wardrobe, the hairstylist put my hair in a bun. And then wardrobe wanted to put me in a beanie. And I was like, I look like I have cancer. No. And they're like, someone's got to wear the beanie. And I was like, oh my God. This is. You
know why someone's got to wear the beanie? Because they put it in a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
They put it in a deck. That's what happened.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're afraid someone's going to, where's the beanie?
Exactly.
Where's the beanie they agreed to? Like, they don't remember. It's just whatever.
I took it off. Funny thing, I took it off. I was like, I'm not wearing this.
Yes.
Are you crazy? I'm on TV. And no one cared. No one thought about it.
No one, they either did or didn't buy the product based on that.
It was Bing. Everyone
Bing.
lived.
Not a sponsor. We have a sponsorship conversation I have off camera when we're done.
Oh,
we're done here.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I did a little stand up on Friday and Saturday, and some new jokes that are good. And that's always, I love that. I love a new joke that works.
Wow.
So
Neal's
pretty amazing. And then I went, and I was getting a burger after one of my spots on Saturday. My buddy Dan Levy wanted to meet up. Not the guy from not the famous guy.
Yeah.
The not famous Dan Levy, comedian, writer. He was like, "Oh, we should have dinner." And I was like, "I'm getting a burger at 9 if you want to meet me." So then he met me, And then my friend Aiko, who used to work at the Laugh Factory, and Tiffany Haddish came and met us because it was Aiko's birthday.
So sweet.
She's the sweetest, yeah.
Aiko is amazing.
Yeah. But I think Tiffany and Aiko were like expecting more because me and Dan were just eating a burger in my car, and then they showed up, and it's like there's nowhere to go, so we're just standing on Western, eating, and it was pretty sad. But it was.
Did you guys have a good conversation?
Yeah, and also there was a crime. That was a guy for some reason climbed on a. Started spray painting. It was a very weird crime. We watched the guy climb up a building, start spray painting.
He climbed up a building?
He climbed. It was weird. And then Tiffany was like, Neal, you better move your car because they're going to have to get a fire engine here to get him down. Like, she knew how it was going to go down exactly.
That's amazing.
And sure enough, though I didn't get parked in. I didn't get blocked.
Yeah.
But I still think they are not satisfied with their journey to the burger place. I think I felt like we didn't deliver.
The girls
Aiko and Tiffany could not have been pleased with what happened. But nothing. I was like, we weren't in a restaurant. We were eating a burger. Anyhow,
did you warn them?
I didn't think they were
coming. Did you
coming.
warn them like this isn't gonna be?
I don't know.
Your birthday.
It seemed obvious. So, anyhow, good again. Not good afternoon, America. And here's another. By the way, right as we're recording, there's been a school shooting.
Where?
In Wichita, I believe. Knoxville.
It's like we're making up for the last year of no shootings.
Yeah. One dead, officer wounded. Yeah. So yeah, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. And to quote The Onion, only country where this happens says there's nothing that can be done. They do it funnier, but so the kid yesterday, Daunte Wright, got shot in Minnesota. The officer yelled taser, thought she was gonna tase him, and then hit the wrong button and shot him, and now he's dead. And I don't know. I don't know. It seems like it's a gun issue. But and I don't even think this is one of these things that never happens to white people, or I think that's one of those things. Maybe she choked because he was black, and you know how cops have a preternatural exaggerated fear of black people. So then she went for the wrong, but like, who knows? But now you're into motives. It's when she didn't want to shoot him, seemingly. She wanted to tase him.
I do question yelling taser. I mean, do you yell gun, gun, gun?
No, taser, they yell. They do yell taser.
They yell
when they're
taser?
going to shoot with a taser, they yell taser.
They say like...
Yeah, they go taser.
Not like, I'm going to tase you. They yell just taser.
With taser, it's like the sparks, so the other cops have to be like cleared,
like
so to speak.
Corner.
It's like, yeah, it's like when they defibrillate. Okay. Corner in service industry, corner at the restaurant, and taser.
Okay.
Tasering is the cornering of police work.
Got there, yes. Okay, because that for me looked. I was like, this seems.
No, they yell
like
taser.
You're okay. Well,
I mean, not like it makes a difference, but why? Even if they didn't, why would you think she was covering up the fact that she was shooting him?
No, but I do know that some cops will say like, let off a few warning shots after the fact to just cover your bases for things. I mean,
I think cops assume they're filmed all the time now because
well, they are.
Yeah, well, it's that sometimes they are but the body cams.
Well, she knew she had a body cam on.
Yeah.
So I feel like.
And then she said like, "Holy shit, I shot him" or something.
I couldn't watch. I was like,
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it, but she shot him, and then said, "Oh my God, I shot him" or something. Holy shit, I just shot him. So the easy categorization is police officer killing an unarmed black man. The less satisfying one is cop means to tase somebody, shoots them. Who knows how long she's been a cop? There's just a bunch of different. There's ways to categorize it that are not
very senior officer.
Okay, maybe she's like in her 80s. Maybe that's a problem. I don't know.
Like we can go into every little example, right, and see where was an accident or some negligence or racism or an unchecked ego. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can find examples of every kind of like a small sub problem of a bigger problem.
Yeah.
But I think the big problem is obviously the relationship we have with police and how we lift them, like just who the police think they are. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of an overarching thing. And there's obviously so many reasons why they think they are who they are. But I mean, I've lived in different countries. Police don't act like this everywhere.
Yeah. By the way, they got rid of qualified immunity in a state, maybe New Mexico.
Did they do it in Minneapolis? I mean, in Minnesota?
New Mexico. Good one.
Mexico.
Good one, Neal.
Was that a?
Yeah, they got rid of qualified immunity. Yeah, they got rid of qualified immunity. So that's a good start.
Great start.
That's like the first state that legalized weed. Like, okay, great. Let's get rid of qualified immunity. There was another stat that's one of those like
What?
That places where there were BLM protests, the murder rate went up. Basically, it's
BLM
cops
everywhere,
sulking. The biggest 10 whatever,
Okay.
the murder rate went up, and it's like. It's just one of these things like either cop sulking, statistical anomaly.
Right.
Yeah, they lead to more crime. In this, whatever. Again.
But the funny thing is, when we talked about police budgets and everyone's like, look at the crime going up. The budgets were for the following year. Mm-hmm. The police had all their money in 2020. Yes. No one was getting their budget cuts for 2021, but somehow I don't know, it was just this gray area of people saying like, oh, look, more crime.
No, it's
what the fuck?
It's like
The
causation.
costs aren't.
Yeah, 10% increase in murders in the areas that saw BLM protests.
But
2014 to 2019, there were somewhere between 1,000 and 6,000 more homicides than would have been expected if places with protests were on the same trend as places that did not have protests. That's one of those things. It's like, yeah, it's Atlanta, Chicago. It's already high murder rate things.
Right.
This shit gets soupy immediately.
Because also, okay, well, at this point, you have all your benefits and amenities in 2020. Mm-hmm. And if the murder rate's going up, explain it to me. If crime's going up.
They call, protesters snowflakes. And then it's that thing of like, well, I guess I can't be a cop then.
What's your joke? I guess we can't hit on women anymore.
Yeah, it's that thing. Like, well, I guess I can't even say hello to a woman. It's the self-pity when they were outlawing smoking in bars and they'd cut to a bartender. I'm not going to be able to make a living. This couldn't be because you're a smoker, could it? I think they might as well close down bars completely. Right. And they're going to come and take our guns. And they give these fucking morons time. So that if it's cops sulking, it's an incredibly complicated issue. And what qualifies as a BLM protest? You know what I mean?
We start getting into
it's like how many people were there? Was it actually BLM protest? What are we talking about? But I will say that the Daunte Wright thing is fucking a tragedy. And then you read about him, and he's worked in retail and fast food restaurants. He's got a kid. He had a learning disability. Dropped out of high school. Like a nice, ostensibly a nice kid.
I read that he was originally pulled over for his
air freshener.
Air freshener blocking his rear view mirror.
Yeah, which causes hundreds of thousands of accidents every year are caused by air fresheners. Apparently,
literally, I'm like, that's such a bad reason. Like even Argus has a joke on like I turned left at the tree. It was just my air freshener. Like and nobody air fresheners are not a thing to pull someone over for. So
how big of an air freshener was it? Also,
was it dice? Was it
how does that
dice?
differ from a phone thing on the phone
the phone
charger station?
Yeah.
That's legal, but it better not make the car smell better.
But also that it's hard for me to say an innocent mistake when the reason why they pulled him over was for an air freshener. You know, like it's not feeling very innocent.
Would they have pulled him over if he was white? You'd have to show me some stats about number of people. That's one
who's
of the.
Who's been pulled over for air freshener? Like that sounds
in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea. But what I'm saying is, again, if white people get pulled over for that, fine. If it's proportional to population, fine. I got no problem pulling people over for air fresheners.
Yeah, if it's fairly distributed.
But as we all know, it's almost never evenly distributed. So let's keep advocating for better police work and getting rid of qualified immunity. Like that's kind of all any of us can do at this point. And it's a fucking tragedy. It's a new car. He's going to get it washed.
It's just we have such a weird relation to police.
Or maybe he got it. Maybe he got the air freshener at the car wash.
You know, not important. But the relationship we have with police here is on the in children's books, like you're friendly police officer, but they're very. It's so weird. Where you go to different countries, police are not in your business. You don't have when I lived in Europe and I would tell them, hey, and it's very easy to encounter the police and just living a non-criminal, non-illegal, non-rule law breaking life. It's very easy to intercept the police and have them be a part of your life somehow.
In America?
In America.
Yeah.
You could just be walking.
Yeah, they will. I mean, they'll.
Whereas in other places of the world, no one uplifts police like we do. No one makes them these pillars of the community and so important.
Did you watch any of Exterminate All the Brutes?
Did I?
So, why are cops revered in America relative to other countries? And if you look at Exterminate All Brutes, it's all mythology. Right. It's all mythology of taming the natives, taming there were a couple points in the documentary where it was a little bit like, not even an overreach, but it's like there was one where he's doing all the lists of helicopters. All military helicopters are named after Native American tribes. But then there was one like in country is short for Indian country, which I was like, I don't think it's short for Indian country.
Right.
But it was just one of those like, but it's about taming the natives. It's just about, so it's our heroes who tame the natives. And if they are, if they're brown, nothing is too harsh.
Right, of course, because they're savages.
Yes. Like, what do you expect dealing with savages? And they all believe it inherently. I think just by merit of like, look at you just hear, I've never done a ride along, but people that have, it's like the way they talk about certain groups is the white people and the black people are very different.
Yeah, of course.
The white suspects and the black suspects.
There's a book I read. I think it's called something like Very Police or something like that. And it's a guy that rode around with police for years, and it's just quotes. It's literally just quotes.
That's funny.
It's not it's not a story. It's just kind of quotes of different police. The amount of,
they don't say the N-word.
Well, not in the book, of
right,
course.
But
I think he probably left it out.
My guess is they know better. Then it's like you're just asking to get written up.
Sure, because you have to be like law abiding somehow,
Yeah,
and you
but
can't
they'll
look
say like
biased.
scales. Just some shit that's like, what the fuck does that mean?
I'm surprised how many, because it was all anonymous.
Yeah.
So it's the only way they like let him in. But the amount of infidelities, the amount of cops like taking like breaks to like cheat,
Oh,
like some like training day shit.
Oh,
It's just like
absolutely.
it's like we are, and they even say they're like women throw themselves at us.
Yeah.
So there is this relationship we have with cops. And I know, and unfortunately, the positive is only for, also just let's take race out of it. Cops are not popular. They are
I can't get a read on it. I can't, I have jokes about them. 1 week it'll work, next week it won't. And I don't even know why. It has to do with what's in the news. This week it'll do well.
Right, of course.
Because it's anti-cop.
Right.
But
you know what it is? It's everyone.
But after January 6th, it was like,
ooh,
these guys are really front line.
Right, especially them Capitol cops.
Yeah, which
Capitol
okay.
cops.
Yeah.
If you're, so for white people, generally cops are I think they're looked at favorably.
Yeah.
From far away.
Yeah.
The moment the cop comes close, near you, trying to do their job, it's like, I pay your fucking wages.
Well, then it becomes a servant.
They're the savages.
Yeah. Then it's like, ugh. What do you make before overtime? Ugh, $65,000 a year. Ooh. And then overtime, he makes $1 million. But that's the, it's a mythology that and they do provide a service. I don't want to it's the thing I was saying a couple weeks ago, call the cops. I pay for them to come and collect human trash, as I call
Which
it.
Which is
a horrible way to put it, but if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I'm paying them to solve problems for me. Solve problems that I can't solve.
And don't want to solve it.
Don't want to solve. Don't want to get up. Don't want to go outside. Don't want to. The amount of domestic shit they have to deal with.
Yeah.
The amount of just like my sister-in-law and just like, fuck, man. Your family couldn't handle it.
Right.
So you have to call the cops. Because the stats are, Black people don't want to see, statistically, they don't want to see cuts in police.
What do you mean? Cuts?
Cuts.
Look you mean in the
budget cuts. They don't want to see. Like, Black people are like, no, we don't want to defund the police. Like, we need them.
Yeah, most people don't want to defund the police, but it's like, what can we do?
That's just overall 82% don't support defund the police. African American. Yeah, police viewed less favorably, but few want to defund the police. That was the headline.
Yeah.
So everyone is conflicted.
The problem is there's no word. When there's a big problem, there's a big ass problem, and no one really knows what to do with it. Like, no one really knows what to do.
I want perfect cops, and I'm getting guys who may or may not have gone to college, may not have been good students, may not be. They're not extraordinary in any way.
Right.
But I need them to be perfect. RoboCop it is.
Perfect or not super racist.
Well,
the bar is so low. Like,
yes.
Perfect is such a big jump.
Yeah, but even
like
I think you listen to that podcast or something about how they're trained, where it's like, you just got to go home at night. Whatever it takes to go home at night. They show video, they show dash cams of cops getting shot by people they pulled over. Yes. So that's the thing, that they don't show them, here's 1 million uneventful pullovers.
And most people don't use their gun like that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of cops
some
don't.
Stat where they, like, most haven't even used their gun in the last year or last 5 years.
But that's the thing. All these services, like, firefighters don't really fight fires. Mm-hmm. No offense. In California, they do because we have fire season.
Well, thankfully, we look after them and we set the forest on fire to give them something to do.
Right. But, you know, a lot of firefighters, like, my father was a firefighter. That's why most of them are EMTs and they go out on the same call. So we see the fire trucks. No one would dare cut funding to the firemen.
Yeah.
Because we see them.
Yeah.
Like they're doing shit. I don't know what they're doing, but in the end, they're actually fighting ambulances for the same thing. So it's like, it's a lot less glamorous than we all think.
It's the least glamorous shit in the world.
Right.
In the world, other than you're cheating on your wife every day for 45 minutes every day. And you got to go, honey. You tell your mistress you got to go. Yeah, so it's like 50% of black respondents still said we need more cops on the street.
That was...
So, but even that's like, that's just it.
Yeah,
no one knows what to think. That's after George Floyd. It's like, there's no clear, like, I will do this and we'll do this and we'll do this. Because even the defund the police people or the refund the police people or the whatever you want to call them don't really know.
We need police. What the hell?
No, of course. But yeah, they're so utopian that they think that we don't need police. We need social workers with vests. All it takes is one person in a vest to get shot and then it's over. Yeah. It's pretty much over.
That's the problem.
Even I had the thought with the Daunte Wright thing, maybe a bunch of cops should have guns and the other cops should have tased, but all it takes is one fight.
Or just retrain, train these people. I don't actually mind the money cops make. $200,000 overtime. Fine, whatever. Train them. Make them worth $200,000. They don't go to that much training for how much money they make, and two, how much power they have.
But it's also, it's a thing you can never track, but it's like how many of them are just harbor racist views.
For sure. But if you really, it's also, there's not a huge barrier to entry. So it's a lot easier for, I don't know, the dude that just was like, maybe I'll just be a cop, to just go do that. Yeah. He's not becoming a lawyer or even with something that has a lot of training behind it, because it's a lot of investment. And I just think more.
No one wants to go to school. No. People don't want to go to study. They don't want to study shit. I just want to get out there and fucking bust scales. That's throw scales against fences.
That's why there's technical colleges. It'll be done in 18 months.
Yeah, but these guys are like jocks to begin with. It's just a hard thing that you're getting jocks. What are jocks like? They see violence as like the first, second, and third option. That's just what they're like. That's like it's their love language. Right. It's just fucking violence. So it's a job that requires more.
You don't think training would help though?
I don't think that they're not trained. I think you can get all the training you want. If you then go to a bar and it's like fucking or in your car, in your squatty, I don't know what they call it. I was in our squatty, and or your wife or your brother or your dad it's like they're not liberals. Right. None of them are liberal. So they don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know how to combat
anyone who wants to wear a gun at work's not liberal.
Right. No, of course. I just mean, I'm not sure, because even a doctor in the most podunk town kind of knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm just wondering, is there a standard to have everyone just at least on kind of the same, it's like you're so
without insulting them. Let me say this. Okay. Yeah. It's not a job that a evolved, intelligent person would want to do. How about that? But somebody needs to do it. Somebody's got to do it.
How about if you want to be a gun holding cop, you have liabilities. Like, you can't just shoot.
Yeah, I look forward. I welcome the stats from New Mexico.
Come
to
on,
see if
New
the shootings go
Mexico.
down, to see if it's a different type of law enforcement.
Do you know the stats from what's the town that did it without that defunded their police? In Newark, Camden, right?
I mean, Camden had nothing to lose. I think
I
it's
was gonna
down
say
actually
Camden's
like 26% or something. Crime plummeted after police were disbanded. What's the catch?
Plummeted. That's a
I
good
remember
word.
reading this, but I don't remember what the catch was.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Do we just walk away from that headline, or are we monitoring if?
In 2012, we had 67 murders. Crime was
That's
at record
high.
highs. Every officer got fired in 2013, and then they had to reapply. Only about 100 were offered the opportunity to apply. And then 70%
Damn.
drop in homicides, 40s. Yeah, I don't know why this isn't.
Why aren't we talking about this more?
Yeah.
Camden also wasn't great. You know, it's a good
No,
example.
it was worse than not great. It was awful.
Okay.
I don't understand it. I don't understand how they did it, and
Why is that not?
why is this not a teachable moment for everyone?
Or just a template?
Yeah.
Because Camden, it's not like it was a nice little tiny village where crime dropped. Camden wasn't good, like you're saying. So why can't this be like a pilot program for Oakland, Chicago?
I bet unions have something to do with it. I bet I can't turn my back Sunday. It's guys talking like this. I gotta reapply. I put my ass on the line every day for 11 fucking
I love
years.
this movie that's throughout the whole podcast. I love it.
So I just thought of it. And George Floyd, I haven't watched any more of the trial, but
I can't.
it seems, again, wide shot seems like it's trending toward a conviction when everyone's like, he shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have done it. His supervisor, nah, he shouldn't have done it. Every single, and then there was like the George was no angel thing. And it's like, it's still illegal to shoot non-angels. Or you can't choke people. The cops don't say, are you an angel? Before we start. Are you an angel? You're still not allowed to, you can do drugs one day, and then the next day the cops are not allowed to sit on your throat for 8 minutes, 46 seconds.
Well, yeah, it's also, the law isn't here to protect nice people we like.
And by the way, from what I remember, the amount of fentanyl and meth in his system was from 3 or 4 days earlier. It was a very small amount. I could be wrong, but that was my recollection from Carl Hart.
It's just funny. So now we have, didn't they say it's a state of emerging, like the pill industry, the drug problem in America dealing with pills, and mostly it's affecting mostly white people.
Mm-hmm.
They've declared that a state of emergency.
Mm-hmm.
So the opioid addiction and all that stuff. So you can be, just a casualty.
If a white person
of
had done it, it
war.
would have just been it doesn't make a difference. Yeah,
Casualty of a drug epidemic.
Right.
One day, and then
No angel.
a savage.
He's no angel. If a white guy's on fentanyl, with absolute certainty that it's a workplace injury that he's dealing with, and he is in no
My
way
back.
an addict, and he threw
Get him
his
there. Go,
fucking
Neal.
wrists, a repetitive stress injury. Don't you dare imply that I like drugs because they make me feel good. Don't you fucking dare. Now, yeah, that I do. These people do get hooked, and then they end up getting to them. They can't get fentanyl, and then they end up getting heroin. And fentanyl killed Prince, and it's killed a lot of people.
It kills a lot of people. It's I don't know. I do think the argument is going to. What else can? The problem is that he has the right to an attorney, and they have to make a defense.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. They got to say something. That's how his closing statement's going to get. Look, I got to say something. Okay. George Floyd, they found some fentanyl. So, case dismissed. Now this I love.
Come on.
The Iran. Now this is near and dear to your heart. I know. I'm sure your cousins work at the nuclear facility.
How rude.
that this is so Iran has nuclear facilities, but Israel and America can sabotage them remotely. And I gotta say, just as a cinematic device, it's fucking excellent. It's wrong. It's it's like it's not even heat.
No,
it's
I know.
Literally,
I'm saying, like, from
the last
movies.
one was called Stuxnet. Great name. And then this one, they just go like they can just make the centrifuges spin too fast remotely, and then they just explode the machine. And there's no spillage.
What is that from? I actually didn't get to.
What was there was an explosion. It damaged the centrifuges used to enrich uranium.
How can they hack that? Let me tell you, Israel is they're the Olympic
Israel.
gold. They're the Israel. They're the Israel being Israel. No, they're so good at hacking.
Yeah.
What's going on with them?
They have a big industry there. Like that's other than Silicon Valley, I think that's like number 2.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it's hypocritical because I don't like when they hack us. When we get hacked, like we got hacked, the whatever the winds, solar winds or whatever the fuck it was called. All of America got hacked. It's really bad. We talked about it, and it's like, but we do it too. I like this because it's like a cut to.
The funny thing is,
sir, there's a problem on generator 5.
I don't like your accent.
Nothing wrong with the accent. I did it with a dialect coach. I worked with a dialect coach on Sundays before the podcast.
That's really funny. No,
it's pronounced Iran.
In a bad Iran defense, a bad defense of Iran, I don't know about the Iran vows to get revenge every time. Like
they never stop.
It's starting to be like that's their care. Like I don't know, Speed Racer. Just these like.
Well, what are they gonna say?
It's just the format of this thing.
Everyone in the Middle East is fucking psycho, right?
No,
we can all
vow
agree
and
on
revenge
that.
is fine, but do they get it ever? It's a little pinky in the
well, again, they'll play the old Americans have the watches, we have the time. Like we haven't gotten it in this era, but like they're playing the long game.
Oh, they're like your day will come.
Yes. Oh, trust me, because they know that, and then it's like America and Israel are fucking psychos.
Yeah.
So they'll just be psycho.
It's just
and kill your guy at the airport for nothing.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I love making the point that every American that is against Israel having nuclear weapons also believes in the right to bear arms. So, whoops. One of them, Iran. Sorry, what did I call it? Israel? Oh yeah, but Israel doesn't have nuclear weapons. Wink. They don't. They want Iran to not have nuclear weapons, but everyone should be able to have a gun.
And if you look at a map of Iran, look at how many American bases surround Iran. And somehow it's like, you better. No.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Mida. Okay, there we go.
A
It's
lot
like,
of bases.
so you surround me. You surround my house and are like, you better not have any guns in there, but you're surrounding me with guns.
Yeah.
America would never.
Put up with that shit?
No.
I mean, we're still mad at Cuba for like having a missile 70 years ago. We're like, you motherfucker. Enjoy this enjoy. I hope you like rice because that's what you're going to be eating because you had one missile in 1961. Fuck you forever. Anyhow, because we're psychos.
I want to see you just recap history. You know how like was it Colin Quinn?
Yeah.
You know he did history one that was pretty good.
My worry with those shows is always I don't know, and I oversimplify it to the point where I'm like
myself open.
But that's kind of right.
No, it's
like they had a missile and then Castro is like immovable object, irresistible force. Which is like,
it's hilarious.
No,
That's
I'm not. I'm not. We got a cigar for you. Explodes. You can't. You miss me, bitch. It's Eddie's joke with fucking Guna Goo Goo. Now.
Well, now I didn't know what this was.
The BLM houses.
I know.
Go to New York Post.
Explícame, por favor.
One of the founders of BLM bought a home in like basically Malibu, and it's cost it's one of these things where it's just not a good look. Should black activists have to live in squalor? Of course not. But it's very easy to paint you into
indoor pool.
Yeah, to paint you into a. I don't think I'm rich technically, and I fucking donate to causes and go to marches and stuff. It doesn't. It's just that I think if you sell yourself as well, a couple of them went to like Marxist training camps, not even training camps, like they took a Marxism class or some shit. So they go like these Marxists, and no one knows what that means.
Do we know where she got her money?
We don't know, but I think what people on the right are saying, and I think some black people are saying, it's like, it looks like you took the money from BLM and bought a house. That's probably not what happened.
Yeah, it's probably not what happened, but it's
too cartoony. That's a cartoony world.
I didn't ever follow up with what did BLM as a whole do with all the donations they got last year? Do we know
What I've gotten information-wise on that is there is a trust that holds the money. So the people, she's not in charge of the money.
Right.
There's like a trust. There's like a separate thing, and they kind of have to apply to get some of the money. But yeah, it's just not, like somebody pointed out, Farrakhan lives in the hood.
Yeah.
Like, does he have to? Probably not. But to not live in the hood is too big it's too easy it makes you too easy a target.
Right.
And it's like you can't. It's like, can you be? Well, the funny thing is they have all signed development deals, which is the funniest shit in the world. They've all signed television and film production deals, which is like, well, if anyone knows it, it's a bunch of protesters. If anyone knows narrative and entertainment, protesters. So that's a whole other, like, corporations trying to buy silence, trying to like just hey, clean me up. Stand with me, would you? Right. And then they go, we have members of BLM as part. We have deals with many of them, and we have ongoing. Watch what happens if they don't buy the pitches. Which of course
has
they're not
nothing
going to
to
buy
do
the
with
pitch.
the yeah. It's like no one gets.
What we're saying is these people have deals at Warner Brothers and a bunch of production companies. All that means is Warner Brothers gives you an office and gives you a small they give you a salary and they give you a budget to buy projects with, but you have to go and pitch to them what the project is, and then once you buy the project, then you have to get the script right. My bet is none of these things are going to get very far, because what they want is the photo op,
right? So.
Because none of these people have any experience in entertainment or, like I said, stories, like what makes it. Yeah. So, anyhow.
It's a lot more complicated than
it's pretty complicated.
So. The house is lovely, and she bought it on
lovely
her own.
house. And
but
again.
Why is this news? I get why it's news, but if there is no smoking gun or there's no there, it feels a little
what
like,
do you need from.
She can't just get a nice house?
What do you need? Where does Malcolm X need to live? Where does Martin Luther King need to live? Where does Jesse Jackson need to live? I mean, Jesse Jackson kind of had less credibility because I don't know where he lived, but if you told me he lived in a white neighborhood, it wouldn't shock me.
Right.
Do they need to live in a black neighborhood? That's one of those things of like, I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. But it's a very easy thing to target somebody and say, like, if you love Black lives so much, why aren't any near you?
Right. Well, that's...
Because that's basically the argument. It's like she lives
I don't get when people move to Malibu.
Topanga.
I don't get when people move to Malibu.
Well, it's the ultimate cry for help. moving to Malibu. It's the last refuge of a scoundrel. I'm kidding.
I just
no, but that's a whole other issue. That's just why would you might as well not live in LA.
Well,
is a bigger issue.
I don't mean distance wise. I mean, it's the most white. It's such a specific kind of community.
Malibu is the best
very
of them.
Hippie.
It's hippie. It's fake hippie.
It's fake hippie.
New age,
open-minded, but very close-minded. You know, so I don't know. It's weird. I mean, one of my friends is married into a very like, at the wedding, someone yelled, 3rd generation Malibu.
Uh-oh.
So there's like a lot of that.
Pull the car around.
And okay, what's going on here? White Malibu, 84%.
84% white. 8 white, non-Hispanic. It's fine. It's
doesn't
whatever.
matter. My point is that,
but
like,
it's better
I do
than Huntington
wonder-
Beach, Newport Beach. It's better than the Orange County beaches.
Right.
Like it's in terms of a beach. Most beach enclaves are white anyway.
Right.
For a variety of reasons.
Right.
Of course, the Inkwell, the hit movie from 1994, about the black part of Martha's Vineyard. You didn't know.
It's very good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
I like the script actually. That's how old I am.
Wow, Neal. Neal's old.
Read the script. Thought
I
it
was
was
like,
good.
really? I saw that on like syndication on like a movie that.
Read the script. I believe Dave was up for it. Maybe.
Who was in it? It was the guy
Lorenz
that
Tate.
Lorenz Tate. There we
Who's
go.
great.
Who's great
And still looks 20.
You're the
Anyhow, it's an unfair thing. Friend of a friend is friends with another activist, and his response was like, "Yeah, that's why I live in a 1-bedroom in Harlem. Like, cause I can't. It's not like I can afford to live in a white neighborhood,
Right.
but you kind of can't if you want to walk the walk, or it's just."
No,
It
you're right.
doesn't
It leaves
mean
you
that
open.
they're
It
a
leaves you
better. It doesn't mean that she's a better or worse activist.
It leaves you open.
It just, this is the thing that I don't think people expect is the blowback. Is like, you know what they're gonna do. It's like Carl Hart with the drug stuff.
Right.
He didn't. I don't think he knew how weird and harsh the blowback was gonna be. Because they went at him like 3 weeks ago.
Which
the New York
is-
Post.
Yeah, of course. But it's weird that he didn't.
You can imagine it. I haven't spoken to him, so I don't know. But like,
Now you're not.
he
his
got
friend?
a New York. No,
Now
I
you're not
just.
his friend?
He got a New York Times article this week that was good, and he was on the Daily Show, which is good.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but like, you kind of have to, if you're gonna say I do heroin. No one's on your side. Like, no one in the media is on your side. Like, so. But I don't think like he on the Breakfast Club. I think he was kind of like, wait, what the fuck? Like, he got kind of.
He's like, wait, you guys aren't.
He got kind of like
supportive
fucking
of this?
Sandmaned off the Breakfast Club. It's like, hey, and he. I think he assumed that they'd be on his side, and
Of
they
course,
weren't.
which is crazy.
Yeah, they're not on anybody's side. I mean,
Well, they're not anybody's side,
yeah.
but he's taking the hardest side to be
Yeah,
behind.
he's taking the challenging side,
The most challenging.
and he didn't
side.
bring up. All you had to do was just bring up incarceration.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
and
an
you
easy,
and you
quick
neutralize
fix.
it. He's not used to hand-to-hand arguments. He's used to
Why
academia
didn't
and
he?
like.
You should have been
I
in there.
really should. I mean,
You
I
should
wish
be.
I could have done like a training with him. Like, here's what. No, motherfucker. Hammer, 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 hammer. Hammer time, hammer time, hammer time.
College.
Anyhow, so BLM, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. It's what's gonna happen. You have to throw a perfect game for these people.
Who
and
people?
White people.
White.
The Crown.
What is it?
Now DMX.
I don't. Your tone's too happy, Neal. What the hell?
I know.
DMX.
DMX fucking died, which we talked last week. We didn't like where it was headed, and it went where we were afraid it would go. And
It's just like, what?
it's just
DMX?
a fucking bummer, because he just had an incredibly rough upbringing. It's just he got the system like like sort of.
He's gone through every system.
Yes.
You know, in his childhood, his adolescenthood,
yes,
everything, and then the
prison
fame system, start of all that shit.
Yes.
He's been through every.
There's a really good thing, and I don't know if they put it in the movie, in the Motley Crue book, called The Dirt. They did a Netflix movie that Pete Davidson did. I didn't watch it, but they talk about the Ferris wheel of fame, and like there's just like a buzzsaw at the end, just like shoots you into fucking chips. Right. And yeah, he got eaten up by that. Got eaten up. I mean, he had no. It's not like he never got a break, but he just had. Here's a story that I kind of forgot about. Okay. So when he did Chappelle's show, he got there and there was like a skate park nearby, and he might have had his like one of those remote controlled cars, but I was like, I feel like he'd want to see the skate park, so I like walked him over to the skate park, and Dave afterward was like, "How was DMX?" And I was like, "He struck me as like a hurt little kid, like that was the energy." And Dave goes, "Yeah." He goes, "We are too, man. Like, don't." He was kind of like, "Don't be a fucking asshole. We're in the same boat as him," and it like he was like incredibly soft in the middle, like all like Swiss Beats made a video of saying like he was all empathy and all heart, and that's the kind of guy that some of the lyrics you look at it are just like wow, but still because he's so warm, and because he's so human, and because he's so heart, he's not going to get canceled.
No, and also I feel like his expression of his trauma was so like raw and real that everyone really took it as expression, like just kind of the hurt, getting the hurt out. Yeah. That's what it felt like in the most like not a bitch ass way. Like just, it was like every dude could get behind it. That's the only way
you can do it.
It was like, yes.
Yes. It's the Ving Rhames. The Ving Rhames Pulp Fiction scene as hip hop. Yeah, it just every guy could bleed a little bit through those lyrics. Blood's my blood. Woo. But the thing is that I think I kind of thought he wasn't he on I Love Fix My Life? Yeah. I just felt like, God, leave. And then he was on Dr. Phil or something. He needed help. He needed help. He needed to be in a 12-step program. Yeah, of course. Like, he needed a minder. He was an addict. And, and like, was either binging or like down. Yeah. You know? And yeah, it's just like, very sad. So this lady got a lot of blow black for writing. So for writing an article. Blush. It's not gonna happen. For writing an article that like, let's remember DMX and support him this is before he died, by going through all the houses he lost. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah. And everyone was, I'm like, lady. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. It was New York Post. That's just what they do. I know it's what they do, but I don't think it's right. I'm just saying it's like, why are you... No, lady. He was in the hospital. Like, do we need I mean, of course, social media deleted all of her, all of her contacts. I feel bad canceling this lady, but... She changed her name and got plastic surgery. I feel bad canceling this lady, but it was so insensitive. Yeah. Black lady, white lady. White. Yeah, that's funny. That thing about purchasing. What? They said DMX, and they always come with like, Beyonce and DMX have done I'm sorry, Beyonce and Jay-Z have bought DMX's masters. They did not. No, of course they didn't. Also, when I knew it was fake? When it said they bought his masters for $10 million. Yeah. Just so low. What? I don't know if it is low. It's a matter of hits and radio play and streams and projections.
Yeah. You don't think that's still low for DMX?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if they're. I don't know. I have no idea. I genuinely have. I know so little that I repeated the exact same phrase twice in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that there's always these stories of Jay and
saving.
Beyonce doing something amazing. It's like, no. And they're not even like, what happened?
Yeah, no, they just come in like angels and like,
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
come to me. My
So,
child.
but Swizz Beatz made a really nice video about him, and it's just sad.
Yeah. It was just
And it's
really
also sad for me because like people my age are
you.
dying and it's not crazy.
Also, it's sad for Neal, you guys. Okay.
Well,
not
it's not
forget Neal's
sad. I
suffering
wouldn't say
here.
it's sad for me. It's more like, hey,
Yeah, your time's coming up, Neal.
oh boy,
Nardo to the front of the
hello, my
line.
peer. Yeah.
Is there one that it was a little too close? Or do they just keep getting?
No, because it's when you get into natural causes is when that's when I'll worry. These all have mitigating circumstances. A lot of it's like Harris Whittles is like drug use. Like there's overdoses. That's not an overdose, but that's like a slow motion overdose.
Right.
And like wear and tear overdose because he was old when he was 20. DMX.
Right.
Like I'm sure if they did like a scan of his heart when he was 20, like what?
He's been through a lot.
Yeah, like you've been through a lot. So anyhow, that's a tragedy. And I posted the Chappelle Show performance, and I posted he was in top 5
Yeah,
in
that
Chris's
was good.
movie, and I forgot.
It's a true rest in power, King.
It is a true rest in power, King, and it's and I won't get into it, but I don't want to make.
I kind of want to get into it.
You guys don't know. You guys
Oh.
don't like it when I make things about
No,
me.
he's mad now.
So I'm not gonna
joking.
say that I pitched a joke to DMX that he did in Chris's movie. Well, I would never say that.
Wow.
I forgot about it, Bianca.
In the scene that you posted?
Well, you hate to
Good one,
look.
Neal.
I'm not gonna make this about me. I never met the guy. I just heard his music like everybody else. Someone was like, fuck you for making this about you. I'm like, I just posted a thing on a show I did that he was on.
I like that clip.
Yeah, it's fucking funny. Him yelling at the DJ and Swizz Beatz laughing in the background makes me laugh so hard. It's like when your friend at work gets in trouble and you're like, oh shit. Anyhow, Prince Philip, the DMX of England, as he's known, he died also. And you know where he's going? First thing, that mummy parade. No makeup, nothing. He's going as is.
He's good.
Walking with the mummy parade. Get him in car number 21.
He's arriving set
Yes,
ready.
he is set ready for the mummy parade. Yeah.
The mummy parade.
yes.
Can we go to the Daddy? Can we go to the mummy parade?
That's what his picture looks like to me.
I'm scared to make fun of dead people.
No, it's not. It's not scary. It's
Yeah, it's like
it's like he
Frankenstein.
spoke. Yeah, like he couldn't even speak English after I did.
Oh my God, Neal's face right now.
I do a good old man. I work
You're
with my dialect
good.
coach. Dialect coach. Thank you again, dialect coach. I have nothing to say about him. I don't care about the fucking crowd. I don't like those people.
We don't know what they are, but
I
we
don't know.
still
I
don't
know
like
if you're
them.
worth your shit. Tell me what you are. I can tell you who I am.
He really can.
I can tell you what I done. I can
He
tell you
can tell
specific
you.
jokes I pitched to specific rappers in specific instances. But this Prince Philip, I need the receipts, Prince. I would call you Queen, but you're a Prince. Anyhow, do you have anything to add on Prince Philip?
I'm just enjoying this.
Yeah.
I like the show.
Yeah. Just not even fun. Just like okay.
99. Like
Yeah. What do you want? How much more do you want? You were Prince and you lived 99 years.
They
So-
were cousins.
They were, right?
They were cousins. My Prince.
I wonder if she's saying that. Like, my cousin died. Queen, why are you so upset? One of my cousins
My
died.
husband died.
That's funny.
she's
Khloe, all right, now this is one of these things where I tried not to stop the car to look, and it still kind of got in my car.
It got in my car. So that got out, and Kim Kardashian started DMing every site, being like, "Can you please take this down?" My grandmother posted it, and it's copywritten.
I don't like women who don't do their own taxes, is what Kim said.
She said there was a copyright, but she miswrote copyright. It just was all weird. Anyways, then people were saying, "Are you serious?" Like, first of all, whatever. Not even the worst
funny
photo.
thing that women think when it comes to like pictures or how they look or whatever, I always want to say, like, I have girlfriends, right? I see women first thing in the morning. I know what women actually look like.
And not in perfect lighting.
Yeah,
and
it's like I know what women actually look like without hair and makeup. And you know what that is? They look like their trailer trash cousin from out of town. Most women without hair and makeup just look like, I didn't know your cousin was in town. Is my girlfriend? Have you seen my girlfriend?
You're
and it's
so rude.
But it's fine. It's fine. It's not like, it's just funny sometimes we're like, wow, that's an after photo for
wow.
your motherfucking. Yes. Yes.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Sometimes it's wow how big the difference is. But they're still good looking. It's just like, wow.
So
that's gonna be a wow for me, dog.
It's a wow for me, dog. So basically, this photo came out. They tried to scrub the internet of it, but the backlash is really that she wrote a thing responding to all of this, saying, I'm always the ugly sister. I'm always the fat sister. I'm never like. I'm sorry if I just don't want this ugly ass photo of me out. Yeah, which it's fine. It's just it's unflattering.
Did she ask for any of the old Kylie photos back? Because there's some wild ones out there. From when she was 15.
So
and it's like, the who?
That's a
who?
That's a wow. Is that a wow?
That's
for,
a wow.
Is that a wow for you, dog? So everyone is basically saying this is a beauty standard that you guys
created. Well, you know what they haven't? They're being hoisted up by their own petard.
Wow.
Again, they're being hoisted by their own petard.
A petard. A petard.
Yeah.
The petard comes back. So yes, exactly.
Hair of the dog. Hair of the dog.
It's too many. Stop. We hit our quota. So they're mad at this, that she is the victim of her own beauty standards. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that everyone's having is not that. It was sad what she wrote. She's just basically like, dude, I have low self-esteem. This makes me feel like shit. Is it a problem that I want this gone? Is it so she turns into the cop like, well, I guess I can't. I guess I can't. And in the end, what it is not that she can't have a shitty day and she is the ugly sister and everyone calls her all these mean things. It's the fact that, one, you aren't honest. She edits her pictures. You can't believe the atrocities.
Well, that body looks very different. Just the body in that photo.
Yeah.
Is this her?
Same. She said, "This is me, guys," just to prove. All of it is
I think she's got a chest wound. She's covering it up. She's losing a lot of blood and fluids, apparently.
The point is, why do you need to prove
also,
that, like,
no one would have noticed.
What do you mean?
She just let it go.
Well, there's also way uglier photos of her on the internet.
And of course,
like,
just
girl.
say any picture of Kylie. Any picture of you was just an old picture of Kylie.
Yeah.
It's the perfect alibi. That's not a new picture of me, Khloe. That's old Kylie. Go talk to her. Buy her lip gloss while we're at it.
I just think it's funny that they are so like, I'm human.
Yeah.
But don't want to admit any surgeries.
Yeah.
Don't want to admit to any augmenting of their reality. Don't want to admit. I mean, the photo, she tried to pass off a photo as hers, and she said it was unfiltered, unedited. You can't. It went from me to, I don't know, name a linebacker. Like, the real photo is not what you're trying to portray. So you're mad when the jig is up.
Yes.
And
yes.
now we all have to feel bad. That's what I don't like. Just be honest. Be like, I got my butt done.
Since we're talking racist phrases,
Come on.
jig is up. That's the racist origins.
Nope,
Just
that's
literally
why
just walk
I
yourself
said it.
through it. Walk
Now I'm
yourself
starting
through
to
it.
get it. Now
I
I'm
was on
starting
the
to
phone call the other day, and
Never saying that.
and I there was a couple black people on the call. It was whatever, and I was like, no skin off my back. And then I thought about it. I was like, I think that's maybe the last time I'm gonna say that. I'm thinking about where that's probably from. Thank you.
I just want to make sure.
I gotta think. Look it up.
Look it up.
The phrase appears to have other roots. Skin off my nose. There's a phrase related to effort. Put your back into it. That can imply possibility of damage, but has nothing to do with slavery. And since we have just entered Lent, I don't know what that is.
We just entered Lent, Neal.
Yeah, I don't. I heard it weird.
This is the photo that she posted. Just so you know, this is the photo that she posted.
Oh, I remember that.
And
She's
then
like,
this is the reality.
yeah.
Now you're mad.
Yeah.
You're mad
Yeah.
from that. You can't be mad.
You can't be. When you diss Stray, you diss yourself. Basically, she just hoisted her own petard. She fucking snake ate the tail.
Being
hair
a
of the
real-
dog.
Neal is on.
Friendly fire. No skin off my back. The original form of this was no skin off my nose, dating back to the early 20th century, but other body parts have been used as well. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'm back. We're
You're
back at it.
We're back.
Guys, can't wait till the next Zoom. Gonna try to drop it
Skin
a
off my
couple
back. Skin off my back.
times. Get on my back.
And then when
Not
people call
racist.
you
I'm gonna throw not racist. Look it up. Try
Believe
to
it.
cancel me. This I don't know. What is Bruce's Beach?
So, speaking of beaches and the inkwell, Bruce's Beach was the name of Manhattan Beach.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Bruce's Beach.
Oh, this is the
They-
Black Beach.
These black. Most of the beaches in LA were black. And now
That's me. That's a
so
hard pill
satisfying.
to swallow. That's me swallowing a hard pill.
Yeah, swallow that. Shit. So maybe the BLM house. She's really. That's how I would spin it. No, I'm going back to what's
it's not-
originally
Racial
mine.
equality and inclusion.
So basically, they chased these people off their land and took it. White people chased black people off of a lot of the beach property in LA because no one wanted to be at the beach because it was farthest from.
It's like lobster.
Yeah, lobster,
valueless. Yeah, and like no one wanted it, and then they needed it at some point. And the white people were like, let's
actually
overcharge
good.
for this.
It's really good, actually.
Let's make this a premium.
Yeah, Manhattan Beach owned by black people, and because there weren't a lot of other beaches, so they made an inkwell essentially.
I heard an interesting segregation story. It's like not good segregation, but it's one of those like long tail things. So the DP on Chase, Malik Saeed, we were talking about. I'm having a guy shadow me. It's a program that's just getting started called Double the Line, where young, I think it's either people of color or black people, can shadow me, the producer.
Is this through Ken?
Ken, the DP? No, it's a separate thing. Because I'm always like, we need more black. I've been
Right.
saying we need more black crew for 5 years.
Right.
And before that, I was fine. I just didn't direct commercials. And so I'm talking to Malik about it. He's a DP, and he got a lot of this shit's just nepotism, right? A lot of the jobs, especially in the physical part of production, is just nepotism. My cousin,
Right, of course.
my
of course
nephew
it
needs
is.
a job, whatever. I was talking to Malik about how he got started, and he said the union in DC used to be segregated. So there was people who worked black. There was the black union who did the black theaters, and the white union who did the white theaters. Then they became one union, and which I'm sure both parties love. And they became one union, but Malik's dad was in the black union, so then it just became easier
to get.
for him. But there's no growth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
just-
there were 1,000 white people and 100 black people back then, and now it's just the same
same
ratio. Just now.
It's just the same nepotism
Yes,
going down.
just nepotism, but occasionally I just didn't know about the segregated union thing. And it was one of those things where it's like, if not for that, If there was just one union, then he wouldn't have been able to get in. They wouldn't have had any black.
But you work with crew
Yeah.
that are unionized. Do you think they'll be happy about more black people?
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, but
even today, I don't think people realize that.
no. Well, it's all guys that
all-
if they weren't union guys, they'd be cops.
It's
If they
or
weren't lifting lights and sandbags, they're all
Yeah.
they're all like. There's an inside joke where they all are from a certain area code. They're all from Simi Valley, crew guys. They're all
or
from
the
Simi
Midwest, even like. Some
Valley. But I'm
people just-
saying in LA,
yeah,
and they all have boats that they take out on Lake Elsinore,
yeah,
and they have big pickup trucks. Like I've been doing location scouts and be like, those guys are in the 408,
Right.
whatever the
Wait,
or whatever whatever. It's not the
dare
it's
you,
the
San
type
Jose, do not.
of union. It's the union number or whatever. But just it's like, okay, I'm a guy who's trying to have more black crew. How the fuck do
How?
I break that? How do I break that?
That to me, I can see that turning a little ugly.
Well, by the way, I think Rock mentioned his dad was a union driver, and they used to. I think he'd be the first black guy to integrate unions. Other like, because he could take it.
That's
And
fucked.
his son is the meanest man. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how you make the grizzled old detective. But like that's so. How do I'm like so I have a guy who's coming to work with me for the cool thing is they get paid. They get paid like PAs.
Great. Oh, great.
And
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. And Chase is going to give money to the program. That's
Awesome.
the best part. But I just never thought about the segregated union parts. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is such a deep problem.
The weirdest shit I've ever been told on set was from crew dudes.
White dudes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one guy was just trying to show me weird internet. This particular thing happened when Obama was president, and it was he was trying to
Tough
show
time
me.
for white people.
Yeah, this guy was a victim. He was being so oppressed. He showed me how Obama was trying to eradicate Christianity from America, and his cousin got denied a grant. I was sitting in the makeup chair like, what? Fuck off.
Jesus, and you stuck there.
I was stuck. So I have, and as much, I've always had like a good time on set, but I always get the feeling that it's a
they're not.
particular type of
They're
people
all,
in that union. you know?
Republican,
Yeah. Trumpies.
physical, lifting, gloves.
Neal's doing the funniest act outs
I'm
of
just
these
doing
guys.
minor little act outs.
Little-
Lifting, it's just a little lift.
It was a little
Um,
lift.
yeah, so I don't know. What do you think is going to happen with Bruce's Beach?
No, so something already did. So chased off the black people and turned it into Manhattan Beach and kept it very white for a long time. And now they're gonna pay the family, the descendants.
It's
about,
one family or it's a few?
I believe it's one family, but
Bruce.
Bruce.
That's their last name. All
yeah.
right, Will and Charles Bruce.
And it's gonna be like $75 million for the land that they stole. You'd think it would.
They may return it to black
Or
descendants.
return it.
So
It doesn't. I can't click on that.
yeah,
It's
got it.
fine. It's either they might return it or pay them the value of the land
$75 million, which will get them 2 houses in LA.
in Manhattan
Pretty
Beach.
cool. Yeah.
That's
Great. That's massive,
it's huge.
incredibly deep old problems, and they're going to be very complicated to solve.
I just think it's funny nobody realizes that even watching the Exterminate all the Brutes, like it sounds like taking land was something that happened so long ago, you know?
Yeah.
Like no one's gonna come here and be like, this is my house now, Neal.
Well, I had the thought that I feel like a few people talked around this. Dave kind of talked around this about the reclamation of, meaning when they arrest drug dealers, they get the drugs,
The
guns,
money.
the house, the
Cars. everything.
because it's a thing. It's based on crime. It's all it's all the spoils of crime, and it's like the punchline's kind of like a defendant being like, well, you guys better hide all your shit because the Native Americans are on their way over here right now, and they're not like fucking
playing around.
Yeah, like you're fucked.
Right.
Natives are coming to get fucking everything.
I do wonder why more natives and black people with like family that they can trace back to have been like terrorized by this country. Like, why don't they just sue the government? I know that sounds not like something super easy, but I feel like now there's
last
a way
week about
to
antitrust laws and monopolies and
you were saying
racketeering and all this shit. That's like, well, it wasn't. None of this is fair.
Right.
None of it's fair. And by the way, you watch it, and I'm actually not whatever. I want to get into it, but I gave when I was like giving a bunch of money at the end of the year, I gave a bunch to Native Americans because like I don't because you see it, and it's like I gave it to Black and Native American, meaning like you see it, and it's so atrocious. It's so deeply, completely wrong. Like nothing about it's right.
Yeah.
And the compensation they've gotten is not even close. You can't put a price on it.
You really
what white people did in Native Americans, you can't put a price. It's priceless.
It's like those MasterCard commercials.
Yes. For everything else.
Priceless. Yeah. So have you been to a reservation? They're not nice.
No, they're like state parks.
Yeah.
The ones I haven't been in a long time, but the images I have of one is like,
not good.
No.
So that's why when people say, "Oh, well, they got land," or it's like, do you want to live on a reservation?
They got a rest stop. It's what they're like rest stops. That's the same architecture.
How do you want to? Yeah, do you want to live here? It feels similar.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of resources.
They got like barracks.
They have barracks.
They have like army barracks.
Yeah. So this country is
it's. We'll get into the brutes in a second. The McWhorter list not worth playing. The monkey play the video game.
I didn't see it play it.
It's very creepy.
Oh my god! Is that a real monkey?
Yeah.
Oh.
They played a video game with his brain. I don't know the technology that's at work. Oh, they unplugged the controller and it still moves, but wow.
That's even crazier.
Wow. Somebody was heckling Elon Musk on Twitter. Like, I'm sure he'll do, like, he said something about Jurassic Park or something. Like, I trust this guy. And it's like, this guy's a fucking genius. He's a douchebag.
Yeah.
But the Tesla, he invented Tesla, PayPal, the space thing. It's like this guy's a fucking douchebag in an Asperger's case, but like, or whatever. He's something.
He's something.
But
Neuralink he created this technology.
He funded it. He's like very involved
behind it.
So yeah, like people like, fuck you. I did it. Drive a Tesla and then tell me you won't care what he tweets.
Also, I don't need my world geniuses to be
cool to good
or
tweeters,
interesting or good
tweeters. Yeah.
Or go on Rogan even. I could never know him, and it's like, okay.
I'd rather not. I mean, in his case, I'd really rather not know him.
Yeah, how do you feel?
I've never.
You don't like when people do the.
You know I don't like it.
You don't like it.
Do the thing you're good at. Get back in the lab. Get out
Get
of here.
Back in the
Stop
lab,
trying to be
Elon.
an entertainer. Stop being a football genius. Dork does dork at the wrong time.
I love this game.
Well, you can play it with a macaque if you love it so much. So am I creeped out by it? Yes. Do I like experiments on animals? No. But he's alive. That's my thing with the animal. My thing with the animal, I'm like, don't kill animals if you can help it.
You know, the problem is when you deep dive into a lot of medical
doing deeper and deeper dives,
discoveries and like improvements in medicine. I mean, if we did not
The trail of
experiment,
monkeys.
trail monkeys. Just
Yeah.
if we did not experience
It's
on
literally a barrel of monkeys.
Stupid.
A giant barrel of monkels.
Munkles? What the fuck?
It's a giant. The
My old
medical
uncles?
history
Yeah.
is it's a barrel of monkeys.
I think it's like if you ever have any kidney, liver, lung, like
Forget
you,
almost everything.
almost everything. But there was one where specifically orangutans, the most beautiful, gentle, without killing and experimenting on them with terrible, just suffering. Monkey suffering leads
Yes.
to us living. I don't know how
To paraphrase Rick Ross, shout out to Monkey.
pears.
He didn't even. It wasn't plural. He said shout out to Pear.
He said, why does he do the
Because
single?
he's I don't know. He's crazy. He's rich,
Pear.
that guy, Rick Ross. But he's
so
rich
rich.
from like
What?
take his advance, invested in car like
He invests.
like houses, car, like not bullshit businesses.
He didn't Scott Storch it away.
He didn't Scott Storch it. Scott Storch, of course, looks like a
I'm already
slightly overweight lesbian.
He does. Why, Scott?
It's fine. Now,
fine.
yeah. So the reason I don't eat meat is because of what cows and methane do to the earth, and I think it's gross and
You don't like the flavor.
it's just inhumane. I just think it's not any flavor. No flavor justifies that. Even my sweet sugar, even my sweet ice cream, my sweet sugar does not justify the way they treat factory. Just industrial meat is so gross. It's one of the grossest things I can
What
think
about industrial dairy,
of.
Mr. Ice Cream?
It's the same. I try not to eat. I try to eat vegan. I don't try that hard, but at least they're alive. And
With the pus-covered
but it's like I
udders.
don't feed Keith
So
vegan because
No,
I
you
tried
can't.
it and he fucking hated it.
And I think dogs need.
Yeah. So like I'm a hypocrite. I'm just trying to lower it.
I know it's tough. Anytime you look at, did you watch Seaspiracy?
Well, apparently it's a lot of shoddy stats,
Remember
but
I told you I didn't like a lot
yeah,
of what he was.
QAnon I couldn't even get through, but I'll get to that in a
Okay,
second.
we'll get there. Sorry, I'm jumping
Tiger.
again.
So Tiger Woods got he was doing 80 in a 40, and he didn't get a speeding ticket.
Can I? Why didn't he get it? Can I have a question? Why are we still talking about this shit? Didn't it happen like a month and a half?
Yeah, but
ago?
because they didn't know what the cause was. The cause was what it was, and the cause was he was doing 80. So, but he didn't get a ticket. And people are mad he didn't get a ticket. Here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you crash, if your tibia breaks like a fucking twig,
Snaps. Can you imagine putting a ticket on his car?
yeah, and like, where is that? Yeah, like, what good's a ticket gonna do?
I do find it weird we're still talking about it, though. I know there's new info, but
Most successful athlete of our time.
okay.
That's all. Be prostitutes, sex workers.
Prostitutes I can talk about.
I got a DM, a text saying call them sex workers
Sex
because
workers.
we were lapsing into prostitute a
Sorry,
little too
sorry.
much. So yeah, but my thing is, if you crash, there's your ticket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In some ways, it's why Kevin Hart can be spokesman for 80 Things. It's because he paid his fine with the Oscars.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, yeah. And Tiger snapped his fucking leg and can't walk. So that's pretty good. I'm sure he'll remember. I'm sure he'll keep that in mind next time he
Right.
wants to speed.
Right.
If we're trying to, it depends on what we're going for with tickets. But it seems like so that they don't do it again. And I bet he's not gonna. If I know Tiger. Now Doc watches.
Oh, you don't want to talk about that? I don't get what Shaq.
Which?
That corporate.
Oh, the
Shaq.
Shaq in the ring. Yeah. Oh,
the
I didn't
voting.
see that. Sorry.
Are they all related?
No, I just forgot.
Oh, because I don't know what Shaq. I was just saying,
Shaq got a kid. Kid was getting.
yes. Okay, go ahead.
And the thing that no one knows is that it's not, they don't put it on Instagram, but Shaq gets to have sex with a lady once a year for the next 10 years, which I think is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Now the question is not like I wouldn't even let Shaq buy that shit. It's
Does it feel a little like...
I bet if I was the guy may come to regret it.
Why? Shaq bought me this.
Right. Well, you know, people don't always fight fair. And that's a pretty nice...
That's a good one.
Yeah, like, who, Shaq? My engagement ring to Shaq? That type of thing? We're getting married June 13th, and then me and Shaq have an August date.
It would be... It's forever going to be a joke.
It's our Shaq-iversary. Now, it's nice that Shaq does something nice every day. But yeah, I just...
Would you, if he was like, what if you were buying a Tesla and he was like, Neal, I got this.
Well, if it's for me, I don't care. If it's a present for somebody else, it's a bit like the regifting quandary. Like, did you do it? Or did Shaq do it? You know, like
he had every intention to do it.
Yeah. It's not like there's worse versions of it where like
he should just sell the ring and buy his own.
No, it's still Shaq's money.
You're right.
There's no way to get there's nothing he can do.
Would that bother you?
If who?
You're the kid. Shaq came. It made national news, so you kind of have to just go with it.
You have to go with it.
Yeah,
but I don't. It's one of them things where it's just one of them things.
Neal's face.
It's just one of them things.
Good.
It's not. Yeah, it's just. I don't. It's not BLM in Malibu, but it's just. It's a little. It's just. The optics are not great.
Yeah.
Even though it's in it, it's good deeds.
He's always there now.
Yes, he's in your marriage just like the two of you are. This is a marriage with three people in it.
It's for real.
And one of them 7'2". Yeah, you know who is going to need a lot of strength? The woman to not bring it up. I pray for strength for her.
Should we pray for her?
Pray for her. Pray for her strength.
Pray for her.
And then the corporates.
The corporate
vote. They're against elected officials now are against corporations
all
having
of a sudden.
Yes, even though it's settled law into the Supreme Court. Citizens United says money is speech, but against speech isn't speech.
And corporations are people.
Yeah, corporations are people and money is speech, but yet somehow not this time. It's another one of them, one of them wild double standards that Republicans have sometimes where it's like, it's like those,
against me.
those gelatin ass walls that Republicans have. The gelatin dividers that they live with.
What flavored Jello though?
Bill Cosby. Yes, it's just one of them things. It's this is one of the things of like I don't even. This is like why are we talking about this? Because it's not even. It's just who they are.
Yeah, like
you can't hold them to. They have. It's the thing. It's the stain thing that we did a couple months ago, where you cannot stain them.
Oh yeah.
They wear stain. They wear the whatever the fuck it was called.
Rain-X?
Rain-X. They're covered in polyurethane, and the guy who made it in the factory votes for them, although the polyurethane's killing them. Let's not get into that.
Neal.
These people they don't have standards.
No.
And of course, what are they gonna say? The cool thing is Will Smith and Antoine Fuqua were shooting a movie there, and they're leaving Atlanta. They're leaving Georgia, yeah.
Atlanta. Oof, this is going to hurt Georgia.
Well, then you get into like, okay, so they don't do the All-Star game. It's a lot of black businesses that get hurt.
That's the problem is that
with
Atlanta's
Will
hurting.
and Antoine, like, do they bring in the crew from it. It probably would have been a blacker crew. Although Antoine, I'm sure, used a black DP, and so
Contemporary Southern black folks.
the DP can he hires all the whatever. So whatever. It's not. There's unintended consequences
Exactly.
to fucking everything.
Okay. Doc Watch.
Doc Watch.
Doc Watch. Doc Watch. Doc Watch.
Now,
Okay.
we've talked about it twice already in the podcast. I tried the QAnon documentary.
Please
Let me
tell
just
me.
get it out of the
Yeah,
way.
please
I just
get it.
didn't. I just didn't like the guy. I just didn't like his voice. I didn't like his approach. And like you said, it was a bunch of. When a documentary's on a wild goose chase, it's kind of got to be live. And I'm sure parts of it were, but I'm sure parts of it were structured afterward. Like in the Roger and Me, Michael Moore's first documentary, I think he met him and just said he didn't.
Yeah, like there's
Which I don't like that. I'm not glad he did it. I just didn't like it. I can't explain it.
no. I think, and it's funny because I was talking to people who were talking about it, who were finishing it, and everybody said it gets way better. Surprisingly, they said they felt bad for the wheelchair guy eventually. Sorry, I don't know his name. The whole thing just seemed like a time investment. I don't think I'm gonna get a utility payoff from
It's
it.
a fake thing.
It's just
So
like,
why would I care
why-
where it's from? I can't. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
if it's a pyramid scheme, I can go for that.
Right.
Or even Vix Vim, the one. Eventually, I got tired of because it's once Fahim pointed out that everyone in there volunteered for it. I was like, oh yeah, he's absolutely right.
For him, it's like, no.
So yeah, with this, I'm like, they just tricked. I know how. I was more interested in how it worked on people than
Right.
who is it.
Right. I don't. Apparently, so I asked them. Oops. Spoiler alert. I'll give you a second to turn it down. Apparently, the documentary is pointing towards Steve Bannon because they do a timeline of Steve's movements and how close he is to the Trump administration, and it lines up very similarly.
Yeah.
But even then, okay, I don't know. It's not enough.
Right.
Of a payoff.
It's still far more interested in like his tactics.
Right, or like
than-
how
I don't know. It's just
or psychologically, are we this brittle? Like how? And I get they do. Like I didn't know exactly the origins of QAnon, but it was enough. I don't know. I saw.
there was an article that I posted on Twitter that I think we talked about. It's that apophenia thing. That once you see we talked about it on here. Once you see a symbol, if like this, then it just becomes like people making the okay sign, and then like you know what that means, and they find a picture of John and Chrissy
right
doing the
it.
horns, like the what was the University of Texas horns, among other fucking, and the fucking rock and roll. So then people go, it's 66666, and it's not anything.
Yeah.
So lesson learned. Now exterminate all the birds. We've referenced it, and it's. Did you watch all 4 parts?
No, I've watched 2.
It's pretty.
It's dense.
It's incredibly dense. It's like Adam Curtis, but with heart.
It's
so emotional,
good,
Adam
though.
Curtis. It's
just-
like gutting.
yeah.
It's not a mental exercise at all. It's completely an exercise in getting eviscerated. Just like eviscerate me emotionally.
Right.
And it's also as a white person, it's so damning. And then you get into like, well, my people didn't get here till 19, and they were Irish, and Irish had their own fucking slave. And then you go like, maybe that's why blacks and Irish get along. Like whatever, there's all that fucking dumb shit. But it's just so awful. it's so awful. Like the amount of Native American tribes there were, and then the thing where they're shaking them off.
They show a map of all the Native American tribes in America
And
from
it's
1800s to 1885.
feels like around 1,000. Well, there's that treaty one. That treaty one is a whole other thing.
No, the treaty one, but between 1800s and 1885, 86, and they just do the ticker. It just goes through every year,
Yeah.
and everything is getting shaken
Yeah,
off.
they're just falling off the country and like opening up for the settlers who came and settled it because they were so unsettled. The natives were so unsettled.
It's just so fucked. It's like this painful love letter, you know, to the reality of white supremacy, the reality of
I would
America.
go not love letter, diary.
Diary. I just mean, I don't know, whatever a heartbreak letter is, you know, not
Yeah.
necessarily a love letter, but someone just like bleeding, just like
Yeah.
a bleeding heart letter to
Yeah.
like, this is where everything this is where everything comes from.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're QAnon or you are BLM or you're liberal.
I
or,
posted about it, and a guy was like, fucking, they said that dropping the atomic bomb was racist. And I wrote back like,
That's an
buddy,
easy one.
that's
Lord.
your only
takeaway.
That's your only counter argument?
Right.
It's like, well, that was bullshit. It's like, what about the 100 other things in the documentary that are not justifiable at all,
Also,
other than your savages and we're great?
Yeah. Also, we start wars with brown people. I don't know what he's talking like.
Well, it's just a guy who doesn't want to. It's like, if you admit it, then what?
Well, yeah, and you're right. What you're saying is, so you all that info,
Yeah.
and mind you, that comes up in the first episode in the first quarter. It probably didn't get through a lot.
The bombing?
Yeah, doesn't it?
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it. I don't even.
I just remember
I think it's in the third episode because I
haven't been there, but
skipped the third episode and whatever.
I haven't
didn't-
watched it, but I saw
Yeah.
some of that and haven't got there. I don't know, who knows. But at least like it's so hard to deny because it just goes back to the origins of everything we know.
Mm-hmm. And told the wrong story. It's like, well, if it's great, tell the story.
Yeah.
If it's great, like if you actually believe in what you did, if it's justifiable, just tell the story. We slaughter them because they're animals. Like that. Why be like, and the pilgrims and
Right.
there was a mix up. And I don't even, you know what's funny is I don't even know what I learned.
There was a mix.
I don't even know what I learned. Like, you know
Really?
what I mean? Like,
I can say what I learned in 2 episodes. I learned the.
no. In Brutes, I learned everything.
Oh, sorry.
In
What are you talking about?
school,
Oh, yes.
I'm saying like I don't even remember how they sold it. Like there were natives, then they were called Indians back then.
Indians.
Well, Indians just when I went to school, and there was Thanksgiving.
We learned about Thanksgiving. We learned about hunter gatherers.
Yeah.
We just learned about it in a very compartmentalized way.
And yeah, like, and then I don't know, they left.
And then Pocahontas.
It reminds me of a funny story. Like Lorne Michaels is very good at like spinning things, and he was saying, he was talking about somebody that worked there and got fired at Saturday Night Live, and he goes, he didn't stick around long.
Right.
But that's kind of like, no, they were natives and they didn't stick around. Like, no, well, what do you mean? You fired that guy.
Right.
What did you do to the natives? I don't know. They just didn't show up.
Laugh?
They kept not showing up.
That's funny.
So yeah, it is like what can I think white people think of like the Holocaust and they go, that's wrong, right?
Yeah.
Trains, fucking chambers, like that's wrong, and those people deserve protection and recompense.
Right.
You look at Native Americans, you look at slavery, and it's so much worse and staggering But it's not photographed very well, and it's not filmed. So,
But even the
the stills
that
of
are,
the fucking
the genocides that are documented is still getting no traction. You know, like in Africa, and
Rwanda was fairly well documented.
was it fairly well cared about on any
Well,
level?
no, that's a whole other
That's
issue.
what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like I think there is something about. I think it really does when you see white people being mistreated.
Yeah.
I think it just,
Like-
white to white.
It's that thing where they don't think black people have pain. Like they won't give
Right. Wasn't there a.
this study. Okay. So let's assume that it's a wonderful closing argument
Which,
in a court.
Sorry.
The
Remind
movie.
me. Okay, great.
Assume it's a wonderful closing argument. What could white people do to make up for that? I literally watching it, I'm like, I think I have to retire.
From being white.
Like, I just have to retire and stop, like, just not, I don't know. Like, I literally, like, what could I do that would in any way compensate for this?
Okay. Well,
and all white people.
let's think about it like so let's say you and an ex, let's say there was a domestic violence incident. What do you do?
She hit me. Go ahead.
You got your spirit padre left
A
you.
little lippy.
You got a little lippy.
You're implying that I would ever hit a woman. Go ahead.
Nardo was not to be found.
Yep.
And you lost control. Relationship ends, right? You're a nice, normal person. You want to make it up to her. You want to make that wrong right. Like, do you go
30 grand. I mean, like,
imagine
literally.
imagine you're not rich. Therapy,
For her? For us.
What do you do to make sure you don't DV someone again? Do you go to therapy? Do you everything you could do? Does it make what you did
palatable? I mean, does it make it?
is there anything to do?
What I'm saying is the scale of it is so major.
I know what I'm saying.
That I feel like we've talked about this before. It's the garage that white people do not want to clean out.
No.
And it's rarely do you get clearer glimpses of it than that documentary.
That documentary lays it out so specifically, month by month.
But it's also laid out in a way
it goes in a lot of. It's not linear necessarily.
And by the way, ladies, you could do worse as the recurring white man than Josh Hartnett.
I was like, ugh, don't make him sexy. Why do I?
Can't help it, girl.
I'm like, oh, couldn't you make him?
Yeah.
They didn't look like that. That's the only criticism.
That's fine.
Make him look like they really look, because Josh Hartnett's the only guy I've ever seen women chase him down this. Literally, I remember on Broadway in New York in like when the movie that he was in came out. He was in the one of the Pearl Harbor. Was he in Pearl Harbor or something? Armageddon. He's just been hot since I was a child.
And women were chasing him down, like Puerto Rican and black women, not like fucking teeny boppers.
Relax.
They didn't know what he had done in the 1800s. I also wanted, like, if I see him, I'm going to be like, that was I don't want to say it was brave,
Bold?
but it was
Bold.
like,
That was bold.
that's like
Ow.
it was cool that he did it.
Yeah.
Because it makes him look, it's like where people are like in the Black Messiah and Judas and the Black Messiah, Lakeith Stanfield had to go to therapy and stuff. It's like that looked like some therapy shit. Meaning the shit that he did, like chopping it, like
yeah.
So whatever, not like he's in any way a hero, but it all just is fucking traumatic.
It was that I feel like when, and I guess we'll get to it, but when people don't like, black trauma porn and stuff like that, this is so informative on things that, how do we get this information? Unless you're going down a serious K-hole. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to be, this is such a wormhole to get.
Yeah.
Like, did I? And sometimes it's so atrocious that because you haven't heard of it before, you wonder if it's wrong. You're like, no.
They would have told me.
Can't be right. So when you see it all laid out, there is something so impactful when it's just like laid out beautifully that it's very hard to stomach the fact that you never had a chance against white supremacy. My takeaway is like, you never had march. I'm not saying not to march, but
Right.
you stand no chance against
It
white
also
supremacy.
makes today's white people look somewhat reasonable. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, allowing a march. They wouldn't allow that shit in 1900.
Okay,
like,
I
that
don't
shit
know.
was it was barbaric
It was
how
so
they treated everybody.
evil and ruthless
So fucking evil.
that that's where I understand the suffering part. We really get the suffering. Even if you don't get it, you're like, if someone tells you something, like, okay, sure. It's the way they lay out the oppressors and the people carrying out the suffering. We kind of don't talk about that. We talk about
The
how fucked up it
lieutenants
was.
of the guys the administrators.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
really, because we just assume, that was awful. But when you really get into how someone had to fucking take it upon themselves.
That's what I was thinking.
Scary.
Dave one time said, like, racism fucks up everybody, and I kind of didn't know what he meant. And then watching that, I was like, that guy's so fucked up.
Yeah.
You want to talk about like PTSD, like
Super
that
disassociated.
those people. You see what going to Iraq does to people, and it's not like that much action.
Right.
I mean, it ended up being a lot of action and whatever. I shouldn't say that. Like, but I'm thinking about like the original Gulf War in like the 90s. But it's just that shit's bad for people. Like, it is bad on a person.
Yeah, I watched an old documentary that showed people coming back from World War One. Their
The black and
PTSD.
white PTSD
black and
one,
white
yeah.
shake.
Black
And
guy crying.
You can't. And I remember my teacher said, I will write up anybody who laughs. Like,
Yeah.
this is not funny.
Yeah.
I'm not showing you this so we can like laugh
Yeah.
at that. Which, when you look at it, why would you show a group of high schoolers this? It's so.
You're asking for it. It's honey trap. It's honey trap for an inappropriate laugh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's when you realize the human brain is not meant for this kind of. Our biology there's a huge disparity between our biology and the evils we're capable of.
Yeah. What we can do, it's that repeat murderer thing.
Mm.
It's like 1%
Right.
of murderers repeat because it's like, oh, I didn't like that.
Yeah, you saw guts come
Yeah,
out.
like
and,
I don't want to do that again.
not for me, thanks.
Nope, not gonna. It's gonna be a wow for me. So that's when I watched it. I was like, I don't know. I can have interns. I can have a black DP. I can, you know what I mean? Like, I can do all the shit,
But
and it's never gonna be enough.
It's
And I don't
never
mean
gonna be
like,
enough.
and that's why I'm not gonna do anything. I just mean it's.
When you see what you're up against, when you see
Yeah.
what the history that you're up against, having a black guy shadow you
Yeah.
seems
Seems like condescending. It's just like all of it, but that's like, and then there's also the thing of like, you know what a human life is like, and like, I'm conditioned to want to make a living, to succeed, to achieve, to accrue my own property and all that
Right.
shit. In a world where I'm doing it on a pile of, a pile of fucking death and atrocity.
Literally all I kept saying is, this is cursed. This is Indian burial ground land. This is a cursed country.
By the way, some of it reminded me of ayahuasca, and I won't get. And did you have that?
I was getting a little weirded out. When I tell you my first third of ayahuasca was someone saying, "Do not forget you were a slave,"
Yeah.
and was saying they want you to forget. Don't forget. And every time I looked at my hands, they were an old lady's slave hand. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got some flashbacks.
Yeah.
I was like, what? It came through so strong.
Yeah. Just the
In my-
looks on the natives'
I
faces was
this
like,
is not a good way we're living.
because the way they've never been photographed. A lot of the natives.
Yeah.
So they don't even know how to like, they don't know to do 3/4. They
No,
don't know
they
any of
don't
the
know the-
poses. And they look like they're live a stark life before white people got there. Do you know what I mean? Like
Right,
it just,
I mean,
it's
yeah.
a hard fucking, you live outside. So so that's neither here nor there. Everything, all roads lead to ayahuasca, of course, at some point. But yeah, it's
also,
one of those things like give yourself a week to watch it.
Also, what hurt me so badly was how these, I don't know, colonizers came and didn't have any land or labor and took it from the natives by force.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, why do you have to take something by force that we would willingly give you through love?
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
everyone's evil. Like,
Yeah.
they would have given you it. Why did you have
Yeah.
to rape and kill them and threaten to kill and rape all their children and women? Like, they would have
Yeah.
just given you it out of the sheer love for you as a human being.
Yeah.
This is that.
Yeah.
That is.
That's
it's
where you go.
Really fucked.
Not like natives are. I can't speak to what natives are like in their soul, right?
No, that was just a quote. That he
No,
read.
of course, and I'll take them at their word. I guess it's like, what the fuck happened to white people, in general, that make them like that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I literally thought of Farrakhan and Malcolm X at their most vitriolic, being like white, blue-eyed devils, and you're kind of like, ah,
When you go back far enough,
yeah,
I
yeah.
make an argument against it.
Yeah, this behavior. How else would you explain this behavior? It's not human.
It feels kind of like, now I'm getting a little hokey pokey here,
Mm-hmm.
but it does feel like I don't know. In some ways, it feels like this is just kind of one big experiment. Like, let's make half of them dark. Let's make half of them light.
Yeah.
Equal.
It's that classroom experiment where it's like
It's
the
just-
blue-eyed
yeah,
kids
exactly.
or
I don't know when. I mean, I get, like, doesn't religion have a lot to play with if you go back enough?
Yeah, well, that has to do with like punishment. That had a lot to do to me with like how brutal they were, because it's like,
Right.
you know,
Biblical shit.
yeah, it's like it's like spare the rod, spoil the child, and beasts of it's just all that shit. But
It has to come from somewhere because, I mean, there are, like, in this country, there's not a history of terrorizing. It goes kind of one way.
yeah,
You know, it's not like, oh, it naturally occurs in all of us. And, you know,
Yeah.
everyone thieves and steal. Like, terrorizing someone else because of the way they look goes one way. And I'm not saying that black people aren't capable of being racist or ignorant, or an Asian people, Latin people, of course. But I don't
mean,
know.
I
It's
guess
fucking
they don't really cover Asia that well, but it seems like Asia was wilding out as well
in their own.
sort of. They just didn't travel.
It is just far.
Yeah, it's
Far
too
away.
far.
It's too
Because we'd
far.
love to terrorize you. It's too far.
You're just like,
Yeah, like what's his name? Genghis Khan and all that shit. Like,
Africa's far too, though. What the hell?
I don't know. I don't know.
Go
It's not far
left.
from Europe. It's not that far from Europe.
True
And
that.
So I don't, or maybe I don't know. And I don't know enough about history, but I don't even want to say like, it's not just white people. Cause Asian people clearly were wilding out as well. And I'm sure there was tribal shit in Africa in South America. But let's say it was less, especially with Africa and South America.
Okay.
That, which brings me to like, what happened to white people that made them like this? That like made us, or them, whatever you want to call it, like that. It's like some
Do we have it?
bad spirit shit. Like,
Do you think it's in our, like, no one wants to admit this, but is there something in us biologically that, not like white versus black, but is there just somebody, if you're in power, you're just prone to racism?
well, yeah, there's like there's studies that wealth makes people less empathetic, more entitled. There was just a stop sign study of what cars stopped when a four-way stop, who waved people through.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it was
And who?
wasn't the foreign cars. It was Chevys, Fords,
Of course.
Toyota. Like it was
Lower level.
$25,000 cars. Drivers were more likely to wave people in than Teslas and Mercedes.
so
and shit.
funny.
It's fucking hilarious.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
So there is that, but I don't think most white people were rich. Most white people were farmers.
No, it's such a small amount. But even when you look at the
It is
documentary,
statistically people in the world, most people were farmers until like 18 something.
right? But when you look at the documentary, goes into how Britain treated and like conquered and treated Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it's like, then it just becomes a class. It just keeps becoming like
People will take a difference and use it as
Right.
a reason, as justification for any sort of behavior.
So are we all capable of that level of evil? But why has it?
Historically, it seems like it.
Historically, it seems like most of the time white.
Right, but if they do it to other kinds of white, I don't know enough about Asia to say but I think they did it also.
Yeah, but
Because when I've been to China, they've been like, all they're all like, and then I was talking to somebody about how like their dad's Chinese and hates Japanese, like just weird, like minor.
No, of course.
But there's no such, even the difference between a white person and a black person, like when they have scenes where they get off the boat and the natives are touching their hair, and it's like, it's not that fucking different from yours. But
Right.
it's like this, like,
Different.
it's different enough.
I mean, me and my brother have traveled in Europe when he has a full afro.
Yeah.
The amount of people who wanted to touch my brother's hair.
Yeah. In the 1600s. Okay. No, but it's not, but even...
Like people do.
What's funny is Chris had the joke, when it's true, that his daughter was afraid of dreadlocks. His black daughter. Just when she was 3 or 4, scared of dreadlocks.
They're scary.
That's not.
I get it.
That's not like, and therefore white people are just as, because of Chris's daughter. Then it's even. But I'm saying, even if it's just white, even if it is just white people, which I don't think it is, but even if it is, like, what the fuck happened? And now what? That's what my takeaway is, like, now what? Not even like, fuck you, now what? Just like, okay. Whew.
It's weird because I always used to think that in this country, the way, white supremacy played out and just like the way racism played out in this country is, it really got kicked up a notch when the slave trade stopped and they needed slaves they weren't importing
Well, then
any more
slaves,
slaves.
yeah, and they also needed them to, then they made that tricky move over to humanity.
Right. There we go. And it was less about like, oh, you're paying off a debt, you get to keep your cultural, and it just was more about you're inferior because we need you for free labor and economic prosperity. So I wondered, what if instead they chose, you know what, for this weird country and for this experiment to work, let's actually not do it based on race. Because even what they set out to do,
Based on race?
you know how like what they set out to do with America was a novel idea at the time, like freedom, like we don't have nothing, nobody rules us, democracy. Throw in racism in there because that also was like that. Also, I used to wonder what if they chose to try to that be one of the goals they also tried to like. And then I see this documentary and it's like, didn't stand a chance. That wasn't even gonna be.
That had the momentum of 800 years. Like, to like, and now we'll stop it.
Yeah, it's like,
That's when you saw the fucked up thing with slaves all going to America and Brazil, just fucking.
The Caribbeans. This is
Yeah,
where they were
but
going.
it was a lot. So many went to Brazil, like way more than I even thought.
But the Caribbean got more slaves than any other country because British slave owners were so ruthless that they didn't even get to the age to procreate. Like they were killing 20-year-old, like healthy men that they could not procreate. So I think the Caribbean has like 5 or 10 times more slaves that went to it through England than anybody else, which is why now it's funny that America has this terrible stigma, which it deserves, but I'm like, no one's talking about how terrible the conditions were in the Caribbean because of like the sugar cane and all that stuff. So
right, but it's still white people, so it's like close enough. I mean, it's
like,
just called America.
Yeah,
I think that's but
it's because they have their own countries now, supposedly. Like, you know,
even
Jamaicans are in Jamaica.
Right, but I don't think Jamaicans were chopping people's hands off and shit.
No, they were just dying.
Right. That's the message the message that I get from people of color. It seems like it's like, just stop it. Just stop it. We don't. Is it revenge? Just stop it.
Yeah,
I'm fucking begging you. Stop it, because this shit's unbearable. And to Dave's point, it fucks white people up. Not in a way that's anywhere near as bad as what it does black people, but it's like it's not good for anybody.
No.
To treat to have a pecking order based on pigmentation. The other argument that someone could make is like, yeah, but look at all the progress that was made. Inventions.
Progress by who, sorry?
In the world. And fucking medicine, invention. And you look at this and you go, nowhere near worth it.
Yeah.
This is another one that's like, no invention is worth this. There's not one. I'd rather sleep in a fucking hut than
children
than having had this happen. Like,
I think it's so brutal. You know how we as human beings, it's very hard for us to understand how rich Jeff Bezos is. It's just we can't we cannot understand it. We have to break it down, and he spent $1 million every second of it. I think the brutality of our history as human beings is so brutal. It's the same thing. It's really hard to understand.
It's unfathomable
how much rape and body mutilation and unfair treatment. It's just too much. It's like that unfair. Let's just breeze by this chapter, you know? And that's why I guess that's why Roots was so, I wasn't around for Roots coming out, but were you? Sorry.
No, no.
No.
Hard no. Bianca, I said no.
Sorry.
I think it came out in 79. It might have come out, I remember it airing around 79, 80, but I think it originally aired in 73.
I'm so confused why it was like the #1 watched thing.
Why?
I didn't know white people liked seeing that shit. Couldn't have all been black people watching
No,
it.
it wasn't all black people. It was like I think the nation was more Christian then. And the Christian thing seemed to be like a confession. And by the way, it's completely sanitized relative to, I mean, they had to do a narrative. It's like a guy and hey, like a fiddler and it's not, it was fucking brutal. A day and night, start every single day.
Yeah.
Brutal. It's like the scene in 12 Years a Slave where it's that yard, the one in the yard where he's hanging and you just hear like the rope and the every day for your whole life, your whole kid's life, their whole kid's life, their whole kid's life, their 7 generations or something.
Yeah.
Probably more. I still don't know how long a generation is.
It's 400 years.
No, it's not. I think it's 25.
No, I know, obviously.
Oh, okay. So I mean, yeah, I just don't know.
It's so good though. Like
It's
it
amazing.
sounds
It's
so heavy, but
poetic. It's incredibly
it's
poetic.
It weaves in between his life.
Yeah.
It jumps back and forth. It shows a lot of imagery in like old Hollywood and
Yeah.
old movies. I've seen so many of those old movies too. Like
Oh, I'd never seen the
Time
Out of the
Machine,
Town. Didn't see any of
the
it.
Isle Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
Like all.
I saw that one.
I hated the Time Machine as a kid. I was like, this movie sucks.
I didn't watch it.
No, it's
No.
terrible. Look, like everything's not. The savages are so savage. You know, it's
Right.
very like this poor guy going through.
But what I'm
time.
always wondering is like, what's it's the same thing for black people. Who are these black savages I keep hearing about? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, of
Like
course.
when?
That's the thing.
So
They defy every statistic.
When is this super Negro? Was it in the 1500? Like, was it in Africa? He actually makes the point I made later, which is it's a karma thing.
Yeah.
You think if you're stealing from somebody, you expect them to just come and pop you at any point.
Mm.
Like, so if it's the two karmas, they were 6'3" and 6'4", the karma in a sweatshirt. Like it's just this white people are, so then they do a psychological thing where black people are super predators because of their own guilt and shame.
Right.
And like, where is it?
I haven't seen it.
No, I know that's what's so great.
Who's
It's like,
seen it?
where is it? There's like the Hannibal, like the conqueror Hannibal. Like, I guess he was a dope warrior. I don't know, but he wasn't seemingly cutting heads off. Like, the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
it's a myth, and it's a myth that they created to justify their own shit. Like, I have to.
right.
We have
It's
to
like,
do this.
okay, well, let's just cut up children's hands off for rubber, but you don't know what I'm dealing with back there. Like they are. This is a necessary way to mitigate the savagery.
Yeah.
And
they're all in church.
Yeah, seriously.
That scene was fun.
That
was like wild.
But, I mean, at some point we have to. What I don't get is there's no situation on earth that just keeps being unfair. Like, things do balance itself out. You know what I mean? Maybe not immediately or in someone's lifetime.
In this case, it's
but
like
I'm wondering
that
what
arc of justice is like, Dr. King, real quick, how long and the bend, how subtle's the bend and how long is this arc? Because this is wild how long this is.
I think if everybody saw that documentary in school, I think there'd be I think it would lead to unrest. If everybody just realized how fucked
It's so sad. Do you know what I mean? It's so brutal. I don't think your first instinct is to punch somebody.
No, I don't think to punch somebody, but when I watch it, I'm like, there's no way to fight this machine of racism. It's so like ingrained in the foundation before this country even was a country, you know?
Yeah.
So how do you fight that? Marching? Like, it just made everything seem like, oh, no.
Yeah.
This is,
These
we
problems
brought
are
like sticks and stones
where
to
like, I need someone to
nuclear
shadow
warfare.
me. Here's a resume. One?
Yeah. It was depressing.
Um,
Like when I watched, so he's the same guy that did I'm Not Your Negro in a bunch of films. When
I'm
I watched
Not Your Negro,
I
which
was like,
I didn't
boom.
love I'm Not Your Negro. I liked it. I just didn't love it. There's a James
Why did you
Baldwin
like
American Experience that I liked more.
okay. But I liked it as a documentary. I think I've seen better things on James Baldwin, but I liked.
Yeah, if that's all you get, fine.
Yeah, and I like the way he tells the story.
Yeah.
The Peck.
Yeah.
But this is like I'm Not Your Negro is like the appetizer.
It makes
This
I'm Not
is-
Your Negro look like Cool Runnings.
It does. Stupid.
Anyway, Exterminate All the Brutes. Just watch. It's just give yourself time after
We've talked
to
about
lay
it for
down.
so long.
Just to lay down because it's so
Not a date night.
it's so
Not
rough.
a date night movie.
It's like it's beyond crying. Do you know
You're
what I
just
mean?
like,
It's like so fucking eviscerating. You're like, crying wouldn't even help this.
it's
Like it's so deep that you're just like, okay. Anyhow, we do a podcast, buddy, and we do emails.
It's time to check that email. Emails.
What's up, Neal and Bianca? Talking about buffets in the last episode. The question was, will they come back? The answer is unequivocally yes. Half of this country would have flooded into a buffet, no questions asked, at the height of the pandemic. There's nothing to make me think that once regulations are dropped, they won't be right back in those buffets. And the thing is that the crazy thing about this pandemic, as it pertains to a lot of Americans, is people don't treat it as though it's a pandemic. They treat it as though the man has made some rules that they don't like. And so as soon as those rules go away, they'll be back in buffets. Peace.
First of all, he sounds like Jonah Hill.
he
Second
does
of all,
sound like Jonah Hill.
Second of all, the thing that he's not accounting for is lawsuits. If I can prove I got COVID from your buffet, you're in trouble.
I thought there's a thing that like you can't sue for COVID.
No, you can sue. I mean, a woman got 30 days for coughing on somebody. Isn't that awesome? Like,
That's amazing. She did it on
Pier
purpose?
1 Import, 30 days
That's
jail.
You're right.
Fucking
Also
excellent.
at Pier 1.
I know, of all places.
Of
Keep
all
that filth out, please.
places.
The suing over COVID thing that's for the vaccine. You can't sue for the vaccine if you get side effects from the vaccine. Like,
It's like,
yeah.
okay.
What are you gonna do?
Well,
Where are you gonna go?
tell that to Hank.
Go to
Grams.
another planet. What the fuck are you gonna do? So that's my argument against buffets. But I think they'll be back. I think it'll just be like a 2-3 year window.
Or just a one actual window and someone does it for you.
It's not a buffet, honey.
Ew, it's a buffet.
Sweetie.
It's a manned buffet.
Like a
carving station.
Okay. You don't touch any of this.
You don't
stuff.
touch.
Yeah.
One person buffet.
That's fucking expensive though. Meaning it's like you need 15 more workers.
I know.
So I hope you love a $90 buffet.
I do.
Look, I got the money, Bianca.
We going.
I'm good. I host a podcast.
I'm coming.
Goodbye. You've got mail.
I'm curious as to what you and Bink's thoughts are on the backlash to quote-unquote black pain stories that I see on Twitter all the time, notably to Lena Waithe and them, but also I've seen it around friend of the show, Trayvon Free's Two Distant Strangers. It's really weird to see all these threads of people dogging the shows and, saying, oh, I know that not a single real black person was involved in this, stuff like that. Especially when, from the Champs episode that he was on and just following his social media presence in general, Trayvon seems like a very smart, very well-intentioned guy who I would imagine is probably bummed out that people are having this sort of reaction to his show or his project. I don't know, Neal, have you talked to him about it? Mainly just want to know what Neal rah rah and what Binks da 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 about it all. Thanks.
What's funny is I have not talked to him about it because I didn't. When you guys texted me about it today, and by the way, this is exactly the kind of shit him, and Roy would talk about.
Right.
Like exactly. So it's kind of hypocritical that it hasn't been brought to the chat.
What would your general take be though?
Well, my general take is they don't like the tone. Because, by the way, your average hip-hop album has a 45 body count
yeah.
on it. But it's just fun.
And we're numb to it.
Yeah, it's fun and we're numb to it. Exterminate All Brutes has it's an atrocity. It's atrocity after atrocity after atrocity after atrocity. Is that plain porn? I don't know.
But I think I mentioned it. I think Exterminate All the Brutes, it's different than trauma porn because it's, I mean, who had this information?
Mhm.
You know, it was really like, sit down and, okay, I'm going to accept some trauma. You know what I mean? It's kind of on your own terms. It's kind of like, that was rough. Whereas I think a lot of people are getting annoyed at fictional work from Black people at this now in this kind of time. It's like, okay, cool. You have the floor, you have the platform. What do you choose to bring to the table? And now I do think people are getting a bit fatigued on the like opens the door, cop, like all that shit is just, it's a lot. And it makes you feel bad.
You know what's the worst Black trauma porn I've ever seen is the news.
Okay.
That's my point. My point is like,
you're good.
The fuck you, it's, what do you want him to write about?
But do you get, I think you get it.
I had this argument with the Dave. It's not even an argument.
Dave.
He was like, his take on The Wire before he watched it was, Black people suffering is not that entertaining to me. He didn't realize.
He didn't watch it though.
He hadn't watched it. He then watched it. It's like, okay.
Oh, okay. My bad.
But I get the impulse. But guess what they would say if they weren't telling these stories? Why are you whitewashing the Black people's experience in the country? Why are you sanitizing? It doesn't have to be white. Why are you sanitizing?
I think at this point, though, because there is this one, God, I don't remember her name, Marissa. She's, I think on Blackish, she's like a young girl. She's now like
now she's on Grownish or whatever?
Yeah, well, not the main daughter, but she has a development deal. And she put out a statement saying, there we go.
Marseille Martin, got it.
She put out a statement saying she's like no Black pain in any of the things she's putting out.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be fables. That's what it's where do people want it? That's a part of, you know, I think part of it is that seems to be the overwhelming dish served to Black people, right?
Is there trauma?
Yes, is violence. Now, it's the overwhelming dish in America, I would argue, for Black people is that. So white people can do a cancer story and is it white trauma? Do you know what I mean? Or like
well, no,
is that,
but I get this.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
some graphic murder
but
or
if
whatever.
you think about it, I think saying it's a fable is wrong because most Black people's lives isn't riddled with near-death experiences with the police. Yes, I know it depends on where you live and it depends on what's going on socioeconomically.
I would also argue white liberals kind of think it is based on the diet of that. It's like,
of course,
white liberals are reading Black trauma porn.
Exactly. But if you think about it, remember when Donald Trump said Black people can't even walk down the street without getting shot in the back? And then a bunch of Black people took photos of their back walking down the street like, I'm good.
And they were all shot later
on. But I think it's just a it's like how there was like that weird genre in the 80s and 90s of slave movies. Like, you know what I mean? There's it's just, well, like slave movies. I mean, it's not like a weird genre, but yeah, we like a lot of.
I felt like the most of the slave movies came out in the last 5 years.
Oh no, like Rosewood.
Oh right, that was
Purple.
90. That was 20 something.
No, that Rosewood was not. Is in the 90s.
Very late 90s.
I don't know. Who cares? I'm just saying there's slave.
Color Purple was 84. Yeah.
There's like
85.
My point is that the ones that win Oscars, the ones that they greenlight, the ones that they give any attention and money to really end up being those kind of traumatic things. And now...
And my counter would just be Holocaust movies are like the white version of that. Like, can we tell some Jewish stories that aren't...
But there are tons of Jewish stories that aren't.
I totally agree. I think it's not I think it's a matter of... I think...
You get
I think
it.
it's well-meaning. I think it's
Oh, yeah, for
well-meaning on the part of white people. I really do. I think it's white people are like, we don't, because as a white person, you don't want to get accused of underdoing it. Do you know what I mean? You don't want be accused of, you know, you're not going to get as many woke points. It was just about like the inkwell.
Right. Was
So
it a good
black,
one?
of course, read the script. I actually want to go a step further and say that in Half Baked, I was like, I like the guy in the inkwell as like a thing, and like we kind of agreed, like,
Right.
yeah, that was a good, like a
It was
normal black human
disgust.
being.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so I don't fault white people for thinking that this is a relevant thing to, it's like a responsible thing to do. You know what I mean? Like it's like if someone comes in, here's the opposite. Someone comes in with a slave movie, you're like, nah, enough with the pain. If you're a white person, it's just you're in a tough spot.
No, for sure. For sure.
Or a
But-
black person, because then you're like a self-hating black person if you don't want to do a slave movie.
But I think everybody's saying, because like it's not like Get Out came out and was met with backlash.
Right.
No, like we're good. But at this point, it feels
Well,
like,
Get Out was fun though. Do you know what I mean? It was
right.
like
But then 12 Years a Slave.
12 Years
Get
Slave
Out,
was bleak as shit. Like
what was the other one? Us. Like all these movies
Yeah.
that are just winning awards and doing well across the board. I think everyone's just getting a little fatigued on the pain part.
yeah, I also think it's a thing to tweet that I think people, it's like,
Really?
because
No,
if
I
you
feel it.
didn't,
I think
of
it's-
course, I remember, I get the impulse. It's like, I remember telling a woman said something about black representation in movies. And I was like, black men need better representation in life. Do you know what I mean? Like, they need more they need doctors, like,
Yeah.
and then like that will follow. They're following the sort of
No,
like
for
this
sure.
bullshit, this fucking a black architect, the fuck out of here.
Right.
Or you know what I mean? Like a thing that it's like the risk is either fake it or make it aspirational or make it I get where everybody's coming from.
I think the problem is, like, for example, the what was the name? Ava did it. It was about the kids accusing.
Stitch in Time, but not
No,
Stitch
no.
in Time.
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
Central
When They
Park.
See Us.
When They See Us.
Yeah.
I couldn't watch it. I tried, and it was
Yeah.
just so. I mean, I'm sitting there trying to relax, heart beating, like
Yeah.
blood boiling. It is just.
Yeah, but
it's a-
Ava's made the 13th, Selma, that like it's,
And I watched all of them, but I'm
Yes.
just saying after a while, now we're getting a law of diminishing utility. Now it's just like, hey.
She also did the one with Oprah, the little girl one.
Right, but it is now it's starting to become the law of diminishing utility. Where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, guys, like I think the problem is we dissect white lives. I mean, to the millimeter,
Yeah.
you know? And I remember my friend was trying to pitch this show that got picked up and dropped and then picked up and blah, blah, blah. And they said, they're like, well, it's basically a male version of Insecure. It's like, so no, too many voices. We already have Insecure, so you can't have, it was like well done. And it was just about like a black male, like a young male going through mental health issues, but it was funny. And it was interesting. And he was going to try to do meditation and yoga and therapy, and how it just didn't work being like from
Yeah.
South LA and
Yeah.
working at this and da. And it was like, no, we already touched on that. So
Yeah.
I think there is something there. I don't think it's just people
That's
need
what I
something
mean. Like,
sweet.
I don't think it's a fake problem, because the Charlemagne's told me the same thing. Like, it's the thing, like, when let me tell you, there was a podcast about that very famous hanging photo of the
Yes.
guy getting hung. And it's a podcast about that day in Indiana. And it's so banal, the day.
Mm.
And it's heartbreaking, right?
Yeah.
And riveting and all this stuff, drama. And I had to decide, like, should I send this to black dudes I know?
Yeah.
And it was like, I almost wanted to write a cover letter, like, look,
Like,
look,
I tried to listen to this slave podcast that had recordings of slaves that you,
yeah,
and it just was.
I
Like,
know. And it's like,
and every time you're like, did you listen to the slave thing? I'm
yeah,
like, I did.
and it's just
but
very,
fuck.
I know. It's like, it's a hardship, and it's, you got to talk about it, and I'm sick of talking about it, and
Do we need different
tone.
curriculums? Like, should you just send that to white people?
Well,
Do white people care? Yeah.
no, because there were white people I'm sure I sent it to, but like, darker ones. I'm kidding. There were white people I'm sure I sent it to, but like, it just felt like a responsible thing to do. No idea, like whether, and then they were all like, yeah, yeah, of course, but it feels a bit of like a cheap shot. Like, how often, even writing with the black person, it's like, is race part of this? Is this just a normal thing, or is this a race thing? Is race gonna rear its head, or is this just like some human? And I think the bigger problem is life in America and history, and then how do you represent it? Because I think, like I said, the opposite's probably a bigger problem. The sanitizing
Sanitizing a bigger problem, but maybe someone just wants to see. I don't know, just like
the
fucking-
inkwell. I mean, the inkwell. It's funny that we keep bringing it up because it's like,
no, not the inkwell, like I don't know, Diving Bell and the Butterfly, but make it black. I don't fucking just some fucking nice film
yeah, agreed.
that isn't about race.
Well, to bring the TV show up again, it's like we would only do one race thing an episode, kind of.
Really, the whole thing felt
I know
race.
It wasn't.
I'm like, you
I
liar.
know it was. It's so more than one an episode. It just got a little like, what else? That's why we just do like boobs, like just like, let's talk about titties. Because it just gets like,
It's like
the compression level just gets a little much.
Yeah.
But as a white person, you want to be sympathetic. It's coming from a decent place. If I'm pitching a thing and it's like, hey, take it easy.
Yeah.
With the race pitches. And it's like, I don't fucking know. Because if I don't, then you go like, well, this is a big issue for me.
Right. So with Trayvon's movie.
With Trayvon's thing.
It's is there a reason why he chose to make it about, Is it just
violence?
because what's going on in the world?
Of course. It's every day. The black guy gets shot, an unarmed black guy gets shot every day. He wrote a really good thing about it with John for The Daily Show. It's not like he's a 6'4" black guy. Like he's a, it's not like white people are like, oh, and cops. It's like, oh, he's got a nice car. Like there's a bunch. It's a thing. It's preoccupying, I would think. But this idea that it's somehow, it's the assumption of bad intentions that's where I get like, that's where I get like, that's a fucking cheap shot on your part to say like he had the idea.
Right. I think if you look, I read this book that categorized all the different types of roles in which women won Academy Awards and Golden Globes. And it's always degenerates of society.
Yeah.
It's always, you're either sex worker or an alcoholic or a drug addict or you're being abused. Those are the ones we want to see women in. Those are the ones not we want to see, but those are the ones that get applauded and awarded in Hollywood. Not women being great or like doing a great job or positive imagery at all. So I think there's something to that where we want our women degenerates of society, and that's when you
we do. I had to lean in on that one.
He
Hey
got,
guys, I
he
hit
got,
you right in the.
he got
I
Sunday
brought
night
that.
oldies.
Hey y'all, look what I brought. That bass.
Stupid ass. And I think we want our black people traumatized. We want our black people in a little bit of fear.
Well, there was that argument with Denzel, or not that he won for playing Training Day, but not Glory.
Philadelphia.
Filled up. Yeah, but then I'd go, he was so fucking good in Training Day.
He was so fucking good.
Like, Cuba Gooding Jr. was so good in Jerry Maguire. It was just like fucking bang. They come on screen and like bang.
Yeah, but then the English Patient wins, and it's like boring.
Right, but that's like I can't. Yeah, but I don't think that's white people's taste. Do you know what I mean?
I
Like
think that's white people's taste.
It's remember
Is it black people's
Costa's joke about it. No one outside of New York or LA like Birdman.
No, for sure.
Like
but,
no white people like the fucking English Patient.
But is it black people's taste?
No, of course not.
So whose taste?
It's the Academy's taste.
Okay, but obviously that's an extension of something, right? It's not just.
I think a better thing would be box office. Like that's a better indicator of what we'll accept. And it was Wonder Woman as the #1 movie, female director, female lead. And guys, we're gonna end the podcast on that before Bianca can counter. White people,
He wins,
I don't know
you
what
guys.
we're gonna
He
do.
wins.
White people, meet me in Venice. We'll discuss what to do about eliminating the brutes.
Eliminate those motherfuckers.
Tell me how you feel.